Welcome in, and I'm back. Back in the great state of Wisconsin. Back on the air, feeling good, refreshed, a little tired. Have to be honest, a little tired, but today I'm calling my shot as I wake up today. And I did it yesterday, actually. Called it early because I was driving home at the time. But that being said, I'm calling a shot. The Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers have won the division. I'm not kidding you. People are upset. People are mad. People are screaming and yelling and complaining about it. Specifically Cubs fans, and I really don't give two damns about them. But here you go. Yeah. Brewers are done. They've claimed the division. And here's the reason why. For some that said yesterday, oh my God, it's way too early. Or for Cubs fans that got really mad, I don't give two damns. Here's the reason why. Speed doesn't go away. Speed does not go away. It's not like you lose it, like suddenly you can't hit anymore. Speed doesn't go away. This team, and it was the microcosm watching this team against the Mets over the weekend. Here's the reason why. And I say this with all sincerity. Their speed put pressure on a defense that they committed just errors because whether it was the fact that you had speed that was tracking down balls in the outfield, speed that was tracking down balls in the hole with tremendous defensive plays, but speed on the base paths caused the Mets numerous errors in big moments, and oh my God, do the Brewers make them pay. Every time they had a mishap, a miscue, they made them pay. And I sat there and I watched this and I thought about this and I thought, you know what? I don't give two damns about what the Cubs do at this point. This is not a fad. This is not just a wrinkle. This is not just a team getting hot. This team is that good because they have team speed and they make you pay. They have figured out a formula by which to win. It is backed up with really good pitching. And oh, by the way, Mizorowski's not even in the lineup at this point. So they got him still coming back. But they have got good pitching. They've had some clutch hitting. But more so than anything, they've got consistent team speed defensively and offensively. Watching Sal Frelick, watching Blake Perkins roam the outfield is just a thing of beauty. Watching Joey Ortiz, say what you want offensively, because we all know it's hit or miss at times, and I use that term loosely. But watching him and Bryce Terang play the middle is a thing of beauty. You've now got a legitimate threat in Vaughn. Suddenly Contreras is back. You don't even have to rely on Christian Yelich to be your bopper because they're figuring out ways to get it done. Singles turn into doubles. Walks turn into doubles. Runners are going first to third like it's nothing. And if you even think about getting a base hit with a runner in scoring position, they're pretty much home. They do make mistakes in the base paths every now and then. There are some mental lapses, and I'm sure that drives Pat Murphy crazy. But they are doing things consistently well, things that they've done all season long, and it's finally all kind of culminated and come together. But this is no longer a fad. This is no longer hold your breath, wait till the wheels fall off. This is none of that. Now, I'm not saying this is going to take them all the way through to a World Series. What I'm saying is here and now today, it took them from the middle of May, May 20-something, from the middle of May until the beginning of August to gain back the 6.5 games that they were down. Do you think, specifically the way they're playing right now, with the holes that they have on their team, the Chicago Cubs have the capability to come back 6 games in less than 2 months? I don't think so, especially when this team, even if the Brewers played 500 ball, when you work out the math, even if the Brewers played 500 ball from here on out, the Cubs, it would take them until the last week of the season to catch them, and that's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm calling my shot right here, right now. The Milwaukee Brewers, yesterday with the win, combined with the Cubs' loss to put them 6 games up in the division, the Brewers won the division. What that means for the postseason, I don't know. But don't give me all your crap and all your ranting and raving about jinxes and all the other stuff. And I've got one other side of things that I want to get into, the whole euchre thing. I want to get into that momentarily. But all that other stuff, all the pissed off Cubs fans, bring it. I really don't care. Fly your damn L all over your place. Wipe your nose with it because all you're doing is crying. I don't care. And by the way, the people that say, well, so where the Cubs are in your head. No, if the Reds were in second place, if the Cardinals were in second place, if the Pirates, well, I can't say the Pirates because the Pirates suck swamp water. But if any of them were in second place at this point, I'd be saying the same thing about them too. It just so happens that the Cubs were in second place. Oh, by the way, the Cubs, they finally had it all together. They looked like they were going to break the scoring record from 1930. All of that was trending in the right direction. Craig Counsell has put his arms back around the organization. Everything was happening in the right direction. There was a lot of finger pointers. There were a lot of people from the South coming in here thinking it was going to be Wrigley North and we were going to kick your ass and we're going to own the division and the division's back where it belongs and blah, blah. Giant set of lips from that sucking swamp water place that is called Illinois. And you can wrap it around the butt of every Wisconsinite that's a Brewers fans. There you go. I've said it. I've called my shot. Bite me. Ebo, how the hell you doing, man?
I'm getting fired up, Bill. Woo! Hey, you got me inspired, buddy.
Yeah, I was listening to Cubs Fan yesterday, and I was like, no, the whole thing about this being a fad and all of that. I'm like, you don't go through 2.5 months of baseball. What was a fad was the way they started off. Now what you're witnessing is the consistent way with which they play baseball. And when you take three things, and I was listening to Baseball Tonight, and they were talking about the Brewers and things that don't go away. Good pitching, you have a bad game here or there, but good pitching doesn't go away. I'm like, okay, you put that in the check mark box. Power hitting, yes, but getting on base hits, look at the batting average ever since the middle of May, where the Brewers rank in a lot of these statistical categories, that just doesn't go away. But team speed does not go away. Defense does not go away. And it doesn't matter. Even when you've got a lineup that you throw out there and you think, not that great. We're just throwing it out there today. And they still have team speed and figure out ways to win. No.
I think my biggest question mark would be, I think that 5 games in 4 days against the Cubs here. God, what is that, next Monday coming up?
Yep.
That's going to be a test. But you know what the Brewers have that the Cubs do not? And I was telling this to Stone Cold Intern Austin, our resident Cubs fan. I said the Brewers, after the All-Star break, they'll overtake the Cubs with that series, and they will mentally break the Chicago Cubs. Cubs fly the L last night, and something else you can't duplicate, like you were talking about, is the clubhouse camaraderie. Mm-hmm. Those guys, how Pat Murphy's got them all, how they're all gelling together right now. It's when Andrew Vaughn hit that home run and Craig Counsell was already to the bullpen phone calling for God for help or something, or telling him to get out of there. I'm like, that's the moment. That's the moment that they break. And that this series come up is telling for me, but you got me inspired, Bill. The vacation must have recharged you pretty good, huh?
It fired me up in many different ways. Alan says, are you nuts? There's a 5-game series coming up. Okay, let's just say they win that 5-game series, sweep the Milwaukee Brewers going into it. You're only a game back. Brewers are still going to win it. Even if the Brewers play their worst baseball of the season and lose 5 straight, which they don't have the pitching to do so, even if that would happen, they'd still come out of there with the division lead. It's not going to happen because they've got good pitching. You've got Woodruff. You've got guys like Freddie Peralta, who has been known to throw extremely well at times. You've got Quintana. Priester just had his worst outing of the year. It's not going to happen. If the worst case scenario happens and say they split 4 and the Brewers lose that 5th one, you still only lose a game. Think about that. You only lose a game. You still walk out of there. If they win 3 out of 4, the Brewers lost a game and they walk away with a 5-game lead. It's not going to happen.
They do. I mean, I remember the Brewers coming out of the Midsummer Classic, and they had the 3rd hardest schedule, I think, and the Cubs had like one of the easiest in all the majors. Mm-hmm. Brewers aren't losing. I mean, They rarely ever lose. And then if you look at it coming up, you do have the Blue Jays, the Phillies, in a little stretch right there. Diamondbacks, Blue Jays, Phillies. That'll be telling too. But if the Brewers keep playing like they're playing, why not?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, even if like I said, I sat down last night and went over the records. Even if the Brewers played 500 ball from here on out, they would still win the division because at that point in time, unless the Cubs go on a 779 roll, the Cubs can't win the division. Mm. That's how much the Brewers have this lead in hand. And again, unless they go on some kind of an epic losing streak, which I just don't see happening. Because every time they've hit the skids, boom, next thing you know, you've got a great pitching performance and the bats unload. The bats have not stayed silent consistently throughout the season. They have not had that long, elongated losing streak since May 23rd. It just hasn't happened. Their biggest.
They get Cheerio coming back.
Yeah, and you got Cheerio coming back, and you're going to have Mizorowski coming back, and you're going to be back to full strength. You're doing this, and you're not even at full strength. So all of that, I'm just like, no, it's done. You get 6 games up, it's done. And who knows? By the time they play next Monday, the Brewers could be up 7 or 8 before it's all said and done. Who knows? So no, I'm convinced the Brewers, they may lose again here or there, but for the most part, they're going to win most of the series the rest of the way out. Even if they lose a series, when we see them lose, like they lost 2 out of 3 to the Marlins, and you're scratching your head, then they bounce back. They've swept the Mets, they've swept the Dodgers. I mean, for the teams that they can't beat the good teams, well, they beat the good teams. When you look at their record of teams over 500, it's the best in baseball. Now, I'm not sitting here saying today that they're World Series champions, but this is a really good baseball team that people have to start waking up and taking notice of. And people talk about choking in the postseason. I never said anything about the postseason. What I claimed was they won the division. So if you want to go there, let's go there. But it's funny because all the people said that, oh, God, well, you can't do that this early. And bet me. Let's put money on it. I'll put $100 down to anybody that want to take that bet. And then all of you, I'm going to take your name, take your number, and I want you all to make a donation to our charity. If you want to take that bet, let's go right now. Bring it, baby. I'm fired up. I'll take it. I don't mind. Love it. By the way, coming up here in about 5 minutes, Brian Billick, Super Bowl winning head coach, going back to the Baltimore Ravens. I had a chance to watch a little bit of the Packer game this past weekend, so we're going to talk with Brian Billick. He is going to join us. Tim Allen, host of the Baseball Postgame Show, is here today. He is going to be joining us. Eric Baranczyk of the Green Bay Press-Gazette is back, and we're going to talk with him about what we saw. You notice I haven't started off with the Packers. It is an overreaction Monday. I love the emails that I get those. I told you so. LaFleur sucks. It's like it's one preseason game. Okay? Just give me a break. It's one preseason game. That's it. We're all good. But it's one preseason game. So I'm not going to get crazy. There were some good things. There's a lot of bad things. Some drop passes, some concentration stuff. But you're looking for people. Now the coaches have something on film to say, this is part of the problem. Here's what we've been telling you about. Now they've got some teaching moments. So I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Good to be back, though. Grant's off for the next week. Ebo's in. Who's in all week? Is it you all week, or is it you, Kate, and Austin?
Well, I talked to Grant about this before he left, but apparently he forgot my multiple conversations with him. So last night I was like, hey, Austin, you going to be in? Hey, Kate, you going to be in? They're like, oh, we didn't hear anything. Like, oh, I guess I'll be in on Monday. Then it'll be.
I even texted Kate. I said, you producing tomorrow?
It'll be.
She didn't answer me.
It'll be.
Was she marry a country star?
She's trying to marry Morgan Wallen. She keeps following him around the world.
I know.
No, but I'll be in Monday, Friday, and then I think it's Austin, Kate.
Okay.
So
there you go. At least we've got.
Hey, Austin took a Cubs bet. He said the Cubs will win the division, and he said he'd do 100 push-ups at a bar if the Cubs don't win the division. Now, this was like early last week.
He will snap his arms in half before that happens.
I don't think he could do 20, so we'll see.
He will snap his arms in half. I'll take that. I'll take that. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Brian Billick, Super Bowl winning head coach, former NFL coach, NFL Network, all that kind of good stuff. He is going to join us coming up next on The Bill Michaels Show.
This is The Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network. Step right up and gaze into my crystal ball. I see flashing lights, spinning reels, and a big win. This August, you have a ticket to a cash carnival at Potawatomi. Play with your rewards card and earn entries to win your share of $300,000 in cash and prizes. Prize drawings every Thursday through August 28th. Your fortune awaits only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
The roll screen, the ability to roll a window screen up and down like a shade. Pella invested in this breakthrough when the business was born and has introduced the world to innovative, game-changing designs ever since. Hi, I'm Gina Della from Pella. Our incredible craftsmen have always been driven by the principles of traditional American values and the desire to enrich the homes and lives of others. They've been at it for a century. When you want long-lasting comfort and reliability, we make it easy for you to trust Pella. Every piece is specifically constructed for you and your home. Pella always designs with innovation and rigorously tests each product for quality and performance. Our team takes pride in constructing quality windows and doors with meticulous attention to every detail. Investing in new Pella windows and doors creates long-term energy savings and durability that lasts for years. And if you order by August 31st, get 0% interest for up to 5 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Bill Michaels Show, we continue on this Monday edition. A lot of stuff to get to. You've got the NFL preseason, which is now week one of it anyway, is in the books. And that being said, you don't want to overreact to things in the preseason. You just kind of want to look at it for what it is. Joining us now on the hotline, the Super Bowl winning coach from the Baltimore Ravens, been friend of the show for a long time. Brian Billick is now joining us on the hotline. Coach, how you been?
Good morning. Good to hear from you.
You too. So for people that want to overreact on a Monday after a first preseason game, what is your best advice?
Get a big drink and go out and hit some golf balls. You got to understand that the priorities for each club in the NFL, particularly with the first preseason game, is we've got to get a look, because there's only 3 of them now. we've got to get a look at as many people as we possibly can. Yes, you want to win the game. Yes, you want to get your veterans a little work. Yeah, there's some things you want to install and work on. But the primary job one in NFL preseason games is to get a look at the young players we have, because you don't want to let a good young talent, you don't want to let talent walk out the door at the end of preseason because you didn't have enough of a look at it, because you didn't have a chance to evaluate. So keep that. I think people need to keep that in mind as they're looking at how they, yes, look and critique the young player. How did they play? And have they got a chance to make this team and help? But in terms of as a harbinger for how good your team's going to be and what they're going to do in the regular season, that's just chasing after fool's gold.
I was told by Ron Wolf at one point, he said, it's great when a team comes out in the preseason and plays extremely well and executes almost perfectly, he said, but he'd rather see a lot of the flaws so he knows exactly what he's dealing with. So if your team doesn't come out and execute, coaches like to have that film to be able to say, see, I told you so. Here's what you need to work on. Here's what you need. Because some things you can preach in camp, and if you're not full go, it doesn't necessarily sink in. So now you've got that teaching film in front of you, right?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And like I said, that plus the evaluation, and particularly with the young people. And what you do is you show them doing those things right, which I'm sure you have, in whether it's preseason workouts or whether it's against the way the teams work together, and then show them where they didn't do it right in the game, saying, so I know you can do this right. I've got film right here. This has got to carry over now into the game, and it's a great teaching tool because, like I said,
well, let me call him back.
I think we lost Coach. I don't know what happened there. We'll get him back on the line. By the way, Coach is brought to you by our friends at X-Tech Pads. X-Tech Pads. Now, Eli Manning, one of the top spots when it comes to Eli wearing the product and now being a spokesperson for X-Tech. Go to X-Tech. It's the digital bot powered by AI. X-Tech took 14 years of data from personally fitting thousands of pro and college athletes, and they've got AI powered now to take a look at protecting athletes, the best football players, the best they possibly can be protected. That is our friends at X-Tech Pads. And after years of research and requests from the market, X-Tech proud to announce the launch of the Youth Pad for the 2026 season. And X-Tech does internal lab testing, and now kids across the country, they've been on the field testing as well. You can go to xtechpads.com. That's xtechpads.com. We got Coach back on the line, and so Coach, you were kind of in the midst of talking about that film and being able to study that.
Yeah, what you didn't like my answer, or what?
Don't know what happened.
This is the preseason for me too. Yeah, right. I got to get into that rhythm for. Yeah, teaching off the film. The big thing is, can they improve? Can they not go make the same mistakes? So that's a big part of it as well for these young people as you go through that priority of finding out what young talent you have.
So you and I talked at Super Bowl. We were talking about Jordan Love, because all the moves you make this offseason, it means something, but really the guy that needs to take that next step is Jordan Love. Coming in third year full-time under center, what should the expectations be for Jordan Love this year?
Well, you're across, you've crossed the Rubicon, so to speak. I mean, you're at that point, obviously the rookie years, and you make dispensation for, okay, he was this, he was, okay, then last year. And it has to do with what's going on around you as well. But the fact that he really didn't play much in 21 and 22. So you're obviously talking about the first full 2 years. Bill Walsh was a firm believer that by about the 26th start, 27th start, whether a young man's going to be any good or not. It may happen beforehand. And a lot has to do with what happens, obviously, around him as well. The first year was out, when I say the first year, I'm talking about 23, where he had 17 starts. And the fact that he was out there and he threw almost 600 balls, that's a big part of it as well, because you can take these rookies or you can take young players and kind of nurture them along and keep them on a pitch count. But what's he going to do when he's going to be at the 550, 600 throws? And he was over 60%. Touchdown interception ratio was outstanding. Kind of on the same pace last year until obviously he got hurt, but he was kind of on that same ratio. So you got to feel like the arrow's up, but clearly now, notwithstanding staying healthy and the other parts that they've added to it, it's now time for Jordan Love to start the season a full sprint. Obviously can do everything that they have offensively, let this thing go and see if indeed he can move himself into that elite status because he has the potential, that elite status of quarterbacks in the NFL.
Is the NFC North and the AFC North the two best divisions in football with the depth that they have?
I tell you what, you could make a real case for that because you got to kind of, it's the depth, and it always comes back to, well, what's the quarterback situation? When you look at any division, it's where are they top to bottom? And when you're talking about in the AFC North, you're obviously talking about Lamar Jackson. You're talking about Burrow, that's on top of his game. And now you add Aaron Rodgers. So that makes that a pretty good division for quarterbacks. In the NFC North, obviously you've got proven winners in what they've been able to do, particularly now in Detroit, in Green Bay, Chicago, and Minnesota. You have to see if McCarthy is indeed going to step up and be the guy in Minnesota. So there's a little bit of question there. And Chicago, with the changes they've made, it's time for them to be good. But it's a pretty good, solid division. Plus, across the board, that division plays pretty good defense across the board.
I want to get to a couple other topics throughout the league. You've got some guys that are still holding out. Trey Hendricks is still holding out. Micah Parsons still trying to get his deal done. You got some guys that are pretty high-profile people still arguing publicly about their contract situation. Inside the walls, as a coach, you got to be focused on what's on the field. But how difficult is that?
It's frustrating, but it's a standard operating procedure, right? Every year you have guys in this situation. You'd love for them to be with you. Your bigger concern is, this is going to get done with these guys. It always does. But it's going to be 11th hour, and then they're going to come onto the team. And now you have to worry about, well, how quickly can I press them into duty? How quickly can I actually utilize them? That's what concerns you more. The business side of it, and you get them signed, that will take care of itself. You go through it every year. But it's regrettable that, because you have a team, you think you got a pretty good team, a lot riding on the line. You want all the parts there, but a lot of times the business says that's not going to happen. But because, like I said, the frustrating thing is, it's going to get done.
There's two extremes I want to talk about. One, let's go out to the Rams because their situation with quarterback Matthew Stafford having some back issues already in camp. Sometimes those subside, but how concerning is that when your starting quarterback, your veteran quarterback, has those types of issues, those core issues early on in camp?
It's huge. And the fact that Matthew Stafford is an older quarterback, that's a real factor here in terms of he progresses. Obviously he's out of the Super Bowl championship. He's been outstanding. The young man that they had, I think his name was Bennett, played very well. Again, you're just developing and seeing what you can come up with. The Stetson Bennett was very, very solid for the Rams. And so, I imagine you're not going to see Matthew Stafford until you get to the regular season. You hope that the back rectifies itself, but particularly for an older player, it's doubly concerning because of his age.
Then you go to the opposite side of the spectrum. A couple of years ago, C.J. Stroud lit it up. It wasn't as good of season last year. Not that was particularly his fault. You got a guy like Jaden Daniels who just burst onto the scene and just made everybody fall in love with his style of play. Can he repeat that again this year with some of the turmoil they've had with McLaurin and such in camp?
You're talking about the Commanders?
Yeah.
I think what he showed consistently throughout, and then obviously into the playoffs, said that Jaden Daniels is for real. Now, you go through the next adjustments. People say, well, people now know how to play him. I don't know that that's the case. He's a pretty dynamic player. They've added some parts to it, but it's the next step. Because here's the big thing, and this is what I always look for in the young quarterback. You got to think about it. He had the entire off season to prepare and focus specifically for this, compared to last offseason, which was the draft and the OTAs and that whole process. That's fatiguing. And then you get through a long season. He's now, with all that under his belt, with that as a basis and a reference, he was able to go into the offseason, look at a lot of film, do a lot of critiquing. Okay, I could do this better. I can do that better. If I'm in this situation again, I'll recognize it better. There's a lot of improvement that goes on in your first legitimate offseason going into the NFL. So I expect huge things from Jaden Daniels going into 25.
You lost a few pieces in Philadelphia defensively. Then you've got a couple of guards, most recently Landon Dickerson, that goes down with an injury. You hope it's not season ending. He ended up getting carted off the field yesterday. How big is that when you rely so much on your offensive line for your tush push and obviously to open up holes for Saquon Barkley? You're already looking at your third guard that on that depth chart now having to be a starter if Landon Dickerson is down. How big of a concern is that if you're sitting there as an Eagles fan?
Yeah, it is, because it's always about what they've heard since the minute the game is over. Can you repeat? Right? That's all they've heard.
Yeah.
And knowing that, okay, we're going to go through some changes, just like every club, because of the cap and because of things. You begin with Jalen Hurst. That's a good place to start. But obviously, you're trying to add some talent. But the mindset that they have to have, we're going to repeat. But the challenge, I don't care if it was Kansas City over the last couple of years, no matter who you are, the challenge is that you can't let that team kind of fall asleep at the switch thinking, well, we'll get through the regular season, then we'll really crank it up. You can't have that mentality. It's a whole new ball game. You got to address, and I'm sure that's obviously what the coaching staff is focused on. That last year means nothing. It's great. Congratulations. We now have an experienced base of players that knows what it is to win a Super Bowl, which is great. But now we have to capitalize on it, because you know what our preparation looks like. That's the best thing about winning a Super Bowl. You have a base of team that you can go to and go, guys, you know what the preparation has to look like. We've already done this. And what we're doing today or this week or whatever, when you have that hiccup, it doesn't look like that. We've got to get back to it. And then, of course, injuries are always going to be a big part of it, because you're right, the offensive line was a staple. It was the heart of what they did offensively. And if you get banged up going in, certainly it's going to challenge you.
Coach, it's always great to talk to you. You represent X-Tech Pads. You have for a long time. I was talking about some of it when we were trying to get you back on the line, but X-Tech now into the youth market.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I got a 14-year-old and 10-year-old grandsons that are playing, and it's to have them protected the way they are with X-Tech Pads, number one pad in all of football. I love the fact that the parents are getting involved now. They're going to xtechpads.com. They're recognizing the difference in these pads. You can't touch and hold and look at these pads and look at the other pads that our young people were playing in and not go, are you kidding me? No, this is what our young people ought to be in.
Great stuff. As always, they can go to xtechpads.com. That's xtechpads.com to see everything. Follow them on Instagram. Coach, we'll talk to you again before the season gets underway, okay?
We'll do it.
Thanks, pal. Talk to you soon. Brian Billick, friend of the show, and he is a Super Bowl winning head coach, just kind of spinning the dial a little bit, going around the NFL and some of the topical stuff, and here in our own backyard, talking to Coach Brian Billick. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to come back. We got a lot more to get to. Don't forget, Eric Baranczyk's going to join us a little bit later on. We'll talk more about the Packers. Tim Allen coming up after the top of the hour to get back into the Brewers chatter. We got a whole bunch of stuff today. Whole bunch of stuff. This portion of it brought to you by our friends at Calderone Club, the best Italian food you're going to stuff in your grill. 838 Old World 3rd Street, downtown Milwaukee, right there next to San Giorgio, which is awesome. The Pizzeria Napolitana right next door. Both places fantastic. Right across the street from the Hyatt Hotel in downtown Milwaukee. As downtown Milwaukee dries out after all the flooding that happened over the weekend. Man, oh man, was there a lot of water that was dumped in downtown. 838 Old World 3rd Street, downtown Milwaukee. Calderone Club on one side, San Giorgio on the other. Great Italian food. Tell them we sent you.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The roll screen. The ability to roll a window screen up and down like a shade. Pella invested in this breakthrough when the business was born and has introduced the world to innovative, game-changing designs ever since. Hi, I'm Gina Della from Pella. Our incredible craftsmen have always been driven by the principles of traditional American values and the desire to enrich the homes and lives of others. They've been at it for a century. When you want long-lasting comfort and reliability, we make it easy for you to trust Pella. Every piece is specifically constructed for you and your home. Pella always designs with innovation and rigorously tests each product for quality and performance. Our team takes pride in constructing quality windows and doors with meticulous attention to every detail. Investing in new Pella windows and doors creates long-term energy savings and durability that lasts for years. And if you order by August 31st, get 0% interest for up to 5 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Your micros will resume in 4 minutes. Your micros will resume in 3 minutes. Your micros will resume in 2 minutes. Your micros will resume in 1 minute. Your micros will resume in 30 seconds.
It is good to be back. Good to be back in the great state of Wisconsin, and now the full court press is on. We had a terrific time in Sturgis, South Dakota. It was a lot of work. We had a terrific time, don't get me wrong, But it was a lot of work. And in doing so, we got the guitars that I had promised you. And I've put pictures of them all over social media if you haven't seen them already. We got them signed fully by the band Disturbed, Jackal, Count 77, and Terminator 2. Robert Patrick, who was on the stage with us on Thursday night, he introduced me, which was so cool. And he brought Kristen out on stage. And we had such a great time hanging out with him for a little bit. And he signed the guitar as well. So, and I checked the value. We started looking at, just so happens that there's a few people out there that kind of, thank you very much.
Terminator T2 music.
Yeah, a little T2 music, baby. We checked the value, and the value of the guitars starts at about $1,500 and goes up depending on what kind of collector you are. So the value of the one guitar alone, just the guitar itself, is about $800. So it's somebody's going to walk away and win that thing if you get pre-registered for the motorcycle ride. So you can ride with us. You can do something great in helping raise money for our veterans, military members, and their families, and help support Big Unit Foundation and Fisher House, Wisconsin. But also, you got a shot at winning. So if you have not gotten registered yet for the motorcycle ride, by the way, our first weather forecast just came out yesterday, and it's saying 84, mostly sunny, which is damn near perfect. 84, mostly sunny on our day, which we ride less than 3 weeks away now. Go to bigunitfoundation.com and get registered. If you haven't gotten registered already, get registered, and please bring friends. bigunitfoundation.com. That is bigunitfoundation.com. And someone who pre-registers is going to have their name drawn right there on stage, and they will win one of those two incredible guitars. So please, please, please join us coming up Sunday, August 31st for our annual motorcycle ride, the 18th annual. Go to bigunitfoundation.com. That's bigunitfoundation.com. Good stuff. So there you have it. Evo, did I miss anything while I was gone? Anything specific? Because I'll tell you this, the Brewers haven't lost since I left and came back.
Oh, you missed pocket pancakes. Billet pocket pancakes. You missed that.
I saw that. I did see that.
And then also Pat Murphy goes around hotel rooms when he's on the road, and he gets he rolls up pizza of discarded boxes. He said he'll walk around and he'll find pizza. You know how you leave it out of your hotel door?
Yeah.
And he'll roll them up in his pocket, and then he'll eat that. Joey Ortiz talked about how he did an egg roll in his hoodie pocket last year. I mean, Mark Atanasiu's got to love a manager that feeds himself. There's no per diem for Pat Murphy.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I think he's I don't want to say steal, but Bill, if you go to a hotel and there's a continental breakfast, I think that's where he gets the pocket pancakes from. It's got to be. Where else are you getting the mini pancakes?
Right. That's a great question. I've heard of comedians that are on the road that are just starting out and they're stealing food out of, discarded stuff that's laying in the hall and things like that. I've heard of that. I never heard of the pocket pancakes. I was sitting at, we had a campfire going one of those nights, and we actually had internet. There's internet in the RV, and I couldn't get the local programming channels. I couldn't get our locals here and FanDuel Sports and stuff, but I could get ESPN. And one of the shows and the MLB Network, and one of the shows in the MLB Network showed him eating this pancake out of his pocket, and one of the players looking at him like, "What the hell are you doing?" It was fantastic, and they started talking about pocket pancakes, and I just said, just another reason to fall in love with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah.
It was
what else? What else did you miss? You missed. I'm sure you heard about it. The big commotion of WNBA. That's not Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese. It's a phallic object, if you will. There's been 4 now.
Green weenie that was fired.
There was a red one. That was the 4th one. 4
really?
now hit the court. Yeah,
okay.
That's what you missed. The 4th one.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think you missed much.
Yeah, I have no idea. So it's yeah. That's it. So you got the Packers back in the field. You got the Brewers that keep winning, and you got big rubber weenies being thrown onto the court in the WNBA. So those are the big topics.
And the Brewers are just hot. I mean, Andrew Vaughn, he was doing some rounds last week and he said Pat Murphy play like a Neanderthal out there. So, I mean, that's what he's doing. When I think of him, I think of a dude with a big stick. That's Andrew Vaughn.
It's the story of the Brewers, in part, it's national because it's a great story in what they're doing. It's also national because they keep wanting to say, yeah, cool story, now move on. Because they want to focus on Aaron Judge, and they want to focus on Ohtani, and they want to focus on some of the bigger markets and Bryce Harper, and they want those stories to become more prevalent. You just get that sense because you get any of the highlights you get Oh my God, hottest team in baseball. And then it's the rest of the show is about the flailing Yankees or the flailing Mets and the Dodgers and Ohtani going yard, but they still end up losing, and or the Mariners, and obviously what's going on with Raleigh behind the plate, and which is a tremendous story. He's now tied with Johnny Bench for the most home runs by a catcher. But it's just all of that completely, which is good, but it's not great stuff. It overshadows what the Brewers are doing and how much winning they have been doing since really the middle of May, and how they've just, not only did they come from behind 6.5 games back, but they've raced ahead to 6 games. They've gained 12.5 games in now really the last 6 in the last 2 weeks, but they gained 12.5 games going back to the middle of May. And that's the reason I'm kind of like, it's over. The division's done. Now it's just a formality is getting to the postseason and how you're going to finagle through the postseason and hopefully getting series wins. But the division, I know there's people that still to this day are sending me, because I went on the air, not on the air, but I did a hot take with that yesterday video-wise, and I've still got people that are saying slow your roll. Jordan sends me an email saying, "Are you freaking nuts?" He uses a different terminology. There's still a lot of teams that are out there vying for the Brewers because they are not the best story in baseball. They are not going to be the best story in baseball, and ultimately they're going to choke in the postseason. So why are you proclaiming them the National League Central champions? The Cubs still have a legitimate shot. Have you forgot about the 5 games down? We've already been through this, 5 games down in Chicago. And I already went through this, Jordan, because I said, look, even if the Cubs win 3 out of 5, that means the Cubs gain 1 game and they're still 5 games back. 5 games back, and they're 3/4 of the way through the month of August. I mean, it's like, come on, man. Then he goes on to say the Brewers just aren't that good. And here's my question, Jordan. Where are they not that good? And I asked a buddy of mine who's very much into baseball. I asked him that yesterday because he said the same thing. I'm like, well, the Brewers they're a good story. I said, where are they not good? Tell me where they fail. And everybody points to the power numbers. I said, okay, look at their on-base percentage. Look at their stolen bases. Look at their defensive percentages. Well, yeah, but look at their errors. Yeah, but they're getting the balls that most teams don't get to. So those balls are not falling into the gap. A lot of those balls are being caught. When you look at Sal Frelick and Blake Perkins specifically playing center field, I mean, you've already got 2/3 of your outfield that's completely covered. It's very difficult to get anything into the gap. You either have to hit it out of the ballpark or it's an out. So they play incredible defense. Up the middle is where you look at the battery of depth. And their defense up the middle between Joey Ortiz, Bryce Turang, obviously Contreras behind the plate. They upgraded defensively with Jansen when they picked him up. And then you look at Blake Perkins now roaming center field. You're incredible, not to mention the good pitching that you have. So tell me where they fail. And then after that, nobody can. It's because they don't have stars. It's because they don't have Christian Yelich in his prime or Ryan Braun to kick around anymore. They don't have a Bryce Harper or an Ohtani or an Aaron Judge or a Raleigh behind the plate. They don't have these names that everybody's fawning over right now. They don't have that. They got guys like Isaac Collins, Caleb Durbin. They have guys that come up and they're like, how the hell does this guy? They got a reclamation project in Vaughn. And all of a sudden he's tearing the cover off the ball. People forgot that Rhys Hoskins is even a member of the team. And they're getting it done. And it makes the sabermetrics people mad because they just believe there's no sustainability here. And my question to really it's my cousin. I said, well, because he's a Reds fan. And I said, well, tell me where the sustainability is not. They've been doing this for over 2 months. They did it in June. They did it in July. Now they're halfway through the month, almost halfway through the month of August. It's almost 3 months. At what point is it not sustainable? It's part of their nomenclature now. What was not sustainable was the early season falters, the April and half of May. That was a month and a half. There was your starting litmus test. They got off to a slow start. They dug themselves a hole. And oh, by the way, since then, they've not only gotten out of it, they've sprinted out of it. That's the reason I can sit here and say, Cubs are done. As far as winning the division, that's an afterthought. And why that makes Cubs fans so mad is because of the pedestal that they put that team on when they were up 6.5 games. Like it was over. And I kept saying, let's wait. We had Tim Allen, who we're going to have on coming up here in about 10 minutes. We had Tim Allen on this show. And Tim and I both said, you're waiting for that run. There's always a run. You're waiting for that run where they win 13 out of 16 or 12 out of 15 or whatever. And then you get 8 games in a row or something like that. And you get on a little bit of streak and then you get the juice. And then they got the walk-off home run in the 10th inning by Christian Yelich, the walk-off grand slam. And that was it. This team has basically been winning ever since. And that's the reason I can look everybody in the eye and say they've won the division. Now it's a matter of what they're going to do in the postseason. Doesn't mean you can stop. Doesn't mean you take your foot off the gas, and crossing the finish line by winning the division doesn't mean a damn thing, because we're all waiting for this team to do something in the postseason. But as far as this whole, here come the Cubs and the Cubs are going to track them down and Cubs fans and coming after Brewers fans, it's over. It's over. Go to Wrigley, go wherever you want in that outfield, go sit under the bleachers, above the bleachers, go pee in the urinal kegs, whatever it is, because that it's a nostalgic stadium, but it's still a pit. Go cry in that place and say, another year in which you're not going to win the National League Central, you're not going to win the division. I really don't give two damns. I don't care. It isn't going to happen. It isn't going to happen. All I know is I was kind of teetering on this team, and I said they need something. And Pat Murphy hit on it and said it directly. He said, we have displaced energy. In other words, we're a team that's got the energy. We just haven't gotten something to bring us all together. And then the walk-off grand slam happened. And then since then, it's been the appearance of Mizorowski. Then it's the return of Woodruff. And then you've got a guy like Isaac Collins. Then you've got a guy like Caleb Durbin. Then you just got guys that are showing up. And it's contagious. And they've got a really good clubhouse, and people didn't want him to make a move. Then Shelby Miller comes in and throws a scoreless inning. The next thing you know, Vaughn comes back. Oh, he sucks. His career's over. He was a White Sox. They got rid of him. They didn't even want him. Next thing you know, boom, he finds it better here. So I'm sitting here today going, yeah, the division's done. Now it's just a matter of what are you going to do in the postseason. So let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Don't forget, coming up after the top of the hour, we got our guy, Tim Allen, host of the Baseball Postgame Show. He is going to be joining us. So stay tuned. I'm all fired up. Almost got choked up right there. Damn near fell over dead. This portion of it brought to you by our friends at Suburban Harley-Davidson. That is going to be the landing spot for our big party this year in the 18th annual Big Unit Poker Run. Cannot wait. They've been huge supporters, reposting everything, social media. They're getting it done. SuburbanHarley.com. And if you're looking for a bike to ride, they have got plenty. Go to SuburbanHarley.com. That is SuburbanHarley.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The roar of racing is back at Road America. IndyCar, Superbikes, Vintage. The 640 acres of land in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin will shake with the roar of engines. Get your tickets now and secure your spot. Camping sites and corporate hospitality space is available as well. Get your season pass, individual race tickets, and all the information at roadamerica.com. That's roadamerica.com. Road America, America's national park of speed.
Becoming a truck driver doesn't have to be complicated. At Schneider, we make it easy to get your commercial driver's license and start your new career. With our CDL apprenticeship training, you'll get paid to become a truck driver in just 5 to 6 weeks and have a Schneider driving job waiting for you when you've completed the program. Plus, during training, Schneider will provide transportation, lodging, and meals at no cost to you. Ready to get your career on the road? Learn more and apply today at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I want to remind you that we are coming to Tomahawk, Wisconsin. We're going to be at Castaways Bar and Grill the night that the Packers play the Commanders with the Green and Gold postgame show. So if you're in the Tomahawk area and up there for the Tomahawk Fall Ride, come over to Castaways. We're looking forward to it. Our first venture there. Our second or third time we've actually done shows in Tomahawk, but we're going to be the first time over there seeing Trish and the gang at Castaways. So if you're in the Northwoods, man, we're looking forward to it. We'll be up there at Castaways Bar and Grill coming up that Thursday night, September 11th. Looking forward to it. Tim Allen, host of the Baseball Postgame Show. We are going to talk about the red hot Milwaukee Brewers. That is next on the Bill Michaels Show.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, that's another sweep for the Milwaukee Brewers as they have now won 9 in a row. Yesterday, dramatic fashion at American Family Field after trailing 5-0 early. Isaac Collins would hit a solo shot up for the Mets closer in the 9th to have the Brewers beat the Mets 7-6. Here's more from Collins.
Yeah, I mean, it's special for sure. I've been on a few teams where we go on runs like this, and it's hard to really describe. It's just like magic in the air almost, but, that's how baseball is. It's just fun. We're having a lot of fun. That's the best way I can describe it.
The Brewers now sit 73-44 on the year, 6 games above the Cubs for first place in the NL Central. The Crew will now welcome in the Pittsburgh Pirates to AmFam Field tonight. First pitch is at 6:40. Turning to the Packers, they would lose 30-10 in their first preseason game on Saturday. Head coach Matt LaFleur didn't like much of the game, but was asked what stood out for him.
There's a lot to learn from and improve upon. That's what I like, and I like that it happened in the preseason. I think it's a good opportunity and a good reminder to everybody that you just don't wake up and roll out of bed and beat teams in this league.
The Packers' next preseason game is in Indianapolis against the Colts on Saturday.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Wisconsin football has completed their 2 weeks down at UW-Platteville for their fall camp. Their first regular season game will be August 28th as they host Miami of Ohio. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
The best team in baseball is the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers yesterday, with their win, the walk-off digger, and the loss by the Cubs, putting the Cubs now 6 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers. I claimed it. I stamped it. I planted my flag. The Brewers won the division yesterday. Mark it. Book it. Book it. I like Joe. Joe says, the Brewers have choked in the wild card round in the past couple of years. At least the Cubbies have won a World Series. The Cubs took 108 years to get there. The Brewers are, 56 years old? They've got 52 more years to go. There's a whole lot of ass-kissing going on there, Joe. I'm telling you that right now. I'm all fired up. Just saying. Just saying. Feels good. Now, Packers didn't perform great, but who cares? Preseason. Okay, a lot of tape to look at, and we're going to hear from Matt LaFleur and Jeff Hafley and everybody coming up here shortly, so stay tuned. Joining me now on the hotline, the man, the myth, the legend himself, the guy that was spirited yesterday, Tim Allen, after listening to him and the Polish pipe bomb, our guy over there, talk about the Brewers postgame. Boy, what a day yesterday it was. Tim Allen, host of the Baseball Postgame Show, joining us. Tim, how you doing?
Well, no, more important how Brewer fans are doing right now. Right? Everything's good. Yeah, I mean, Bill, listen, I really like these types of runs, obviously. But when you think about, the Bucks run in 21 and how just people just forgot about, I'll worry about my credit card bill tomorrow or something. I'm going to go and enjoy this run with some buddies. And, the Packers have set a gold standard of success. And then when the Brewers get on a run here, it's just really, it's all this, and I don't want to make it too, fluffy here, but it does kind of bring everybody together. The flooding yesterday, I thought, was just another example of that the Brewers organization got that word out, and in today's technology, the word is, the information is consumed a little bit different. They put still 33,000 plus into that stadium when, in all reality, that would have been, a normal season. Mm-hmm. Maybe a lot of Brewers fans would have passed on that, but they go out of the way. The information was put out there brilliantly by the Brewers organization. It really was, and it was consumed. And so it was just a come together type thing with this Brewers run. And that's enjoy it every day.
Talking about the sellout crowd yesterday, 33,000+ still showed up, even with some of the entrances and such closed because you couldn't park. There was no place to go because of the flooding that we had and experienced on Saturday night. Tim, I was watching on, I believe it was the MLB Network, where they said, keep talking about the Brewers and quote, the run they're on, which kind of bothers me because this is the way they've played pretty much since the middle of May. The one thing that they said, and I completely agree with, is speed and defense do not go away. You can go into a slump hitting. You can maybe have an off night as a pitcher like Priester did yesterday, but speed and defense don't go away, and that's what this team does. They put pressure on, and we saw this with Lindor not once but twice, where there's errors because you're trying to get rid of the ball so fast to make a perfect play because of the speed they have. You're putting pressure on these defenses. Speed and defense is what's leading this team, along with really, really good starting pitching and depth in the bullpen. Doesn't matter about if you're a big bopper or not. That's the way they're winning these games.
They are. You're right on. Speed, defense, and that rotation. Starting pitching, I think, is still a little underrated because, despite a little hiccup here and there, and Priester just wasn't on it yesterday, obviously. But every time you look up, you see some of these rotation guys. There's another one, 5 innings, 1 run. There's another one, 6 innings, no runs. There's another one, 5 1/3, 2 runs. There's another one. On and on and on. And then somebody hauls off and saves the bullpen a little bit and goes 7 innings of 2-run ball. That to me is really the force of this team, and it all stems from there. Speed, defense. You're right. It doesn't really slump. Defense maybe a tick here and there, but their defense has been outstanding on this current winning streak. But I just point to the pitching, and when it's fun on sports talk radio to talk. Well, who would start game 1 for you right now? Right now is a little different than October. Mm-hmm. We have to see what, a lot can happen in there. If you're going to force me to pick one now, I still say it's Freddie. It's Freddie Peralta, game 1. But who knows? They might. Bill, they might be fighting for a 1 seed at that time, the tail end, final weekend, where they have to use Freddie in there. And it's his time up, and they're not going to save him because they want the bye. And then honestly, I would trust all of them right now. They're pitching that well, 1 through 5, all of them.
I look at the moves that have been made, and we know they didn't get the big bopper at the trade deadline. They did make some small moves. Shelby Miller obviously came in and threw a nice inning and has made a little bit of an impact on this team in a very short period of time. Vaughn obviously is a guy that they picked up. That was a reclamation project from the White Sox. I mean, you look at some of the moves. Priester coming into this organization. They haven't been big moves, but they've been pieces to the puzzle that just seem to fit.
And the moves that are still coming, I mean, we have to remember this. There's a guy named Jackson Churio that is coming back here. There's a guy named Reese Hoskins who's going to play a part down the stretch here. And I know a lot of guys, a lot of fans are in love with Andrew Vaughn, and rightly so. They should be. But, I mean, I could see a spot in which Yelich plays a little more outfield. They really play interchangeable parts with the DH with Hoskins. I mean, there's still some reinforcements coming back here, let alone some of the pitching you're going to get back.
Right.
I mean, you are going to see a little bit of Robert Gasser. I'm convinced of that this year. Shelby Miller. I mean, does that forearm, does that act up again? And will we see, maybe a Rob Z get involved in the bullpen again? So there are still some moves to make, but to look ahead, I think is a situation where you can do that, and it's fun to do that, Bill. We all do it. But I think I lean toward living in this moment here. And that, to me, is the really, really fun part about it. Because, quite frankly, what has everyone got going today? Okay, it's Monday. You got to go back to work. Everyone's, I'm going to take a look at my schedule. Got the kids. Got whatever's going on. But you got a game tonight. You got a Brewers game tonight, and I think people have carved out time for them.
Tim, I was sitting here talking about the Cubs specifically, and people get bent because of the rivalry, and I understand that. But I'm simply saying it took the Brewers from the middle of May to the end of July to get back to even. And in the last couple of weeks of really when they've excelled and they've won and they haven't lost, basically. And that's when they extended this lead now to 6 games. So it took them almost 2.5 months. Sitting here now, almost the middle of August, you've got the middle of August and then September. Unless the Brewers go on some kind of epic losing streak, what I equated it to when I sat down and did the numbers last night, the Cubs would have to win at almost a 780 clip. It's like 779 or something like that. For them, and the Brewers would have to play 500 or sub 500 ball. I don't see that happening, which is the reason I can confidently say I believe the Brewers have won the division this past weekend. Even if they go in and say lose 3 out of 5 to the Cubs coming out of Chicago next Monday, they only lose a game and they're still 5 games up with 5-6 weeks to play. I just don't see that happening, which is the reason I'm confident in what I state.
Yeah, and if you are going to look ahead, you look at Monday. You look at the doubleheader. That's what is going to fuel the Cubs. Now, make no mistake. I know this pains me to say it, but the Cubs are a good baseball team, man. They are. And there's a run in there. I can say that also for the Dodgers, who are getting healthier, and that rotation is starting to get back on track here. The Philadelphia Phillies is a team to really look out for. They've got something cooking in Philly. They're at 68 wins. Dodgers sit at 68. The Cubs sit at 67. And then you have, the mid or lower 60s for the rest of them. But it's that doubleheader for me. And you're right. Even if you lose 3 of those 5 games, it's a 1-game swing. That's it. That's it. So you have to avoid this explosion of, the Cubs sweep the doubleheader and win game 3. Look out, guys. Look out. So I would slide a bunch of chips, no Sunday lineup going into that doubleheader. Play your guns, get one of those. I mean, the best case is win game 1. You win game 1, you just have to win one of the next 4, Bill, to your point. Win one of the next 4. If you win game 1, one of the next 4 does not allow the Cubs to have a big swing. It's just that simple. And I'm a little leery of saying it, but I'm glad you're saying it. I really am. June 19th is the date I look at. Prior to the game on June 19th, Brewers-Cubs, the Brewers were sitting at 6.5 games behind Chicago.
Yeah.
Going into that game, that was an 8-7 victory. I think that still to this moment in time is the single biggest win of the year. That one right there. Because, Bill, who knows what the Brewers were going to do if they were sitting 7.5 back in late June.
Right.
You just don't know. It might have taken away their moxie a little bit.
I agree. I look at moments in time this season, and I've preached about this. The 10th inning grand slam walk-off by Yelich was big, going back to May. That was kind of the igniter. What you had just mentioned, huge. Obviously, the energy, the shot in the arm they got when Mizorowski came up, seeing Brandon Woodruff go through everything he went through and then coming back and having not lost since he's come back. I think all of those things, those shot in the arms, Vaughn being picked up and suddenly finding a burst of power coming out of the White Sox organization,
beautiful.
All those little things. It's like every time you're looking for just another little, just give us another little piece of juice, the Brewers have been able to get squeezed out of that orange, and they have found it this year.
Yeah, and we could also look at Friday night, in which case that throw from Perkins on Friday night, that may have put the Mets outside of the big boy club because they were in the big boy club for a while.
Yep.
Well, that throw right there from Perkins allowed this team to sweep the Mets and put them back on their heels a little bit. It's funny. In yesterday's game, the Brewers were down 5-0, and when they made it 5-3, and then started putting a runner or two on base. It's funny, Lane Grindle on the Brewers radio network mentioned it. There was the same sentiment going on in both dugouts, and I thought it was a really poignant comment that he made. On one side, the Brewers are going, okay, here we go again. We're going to do it. And then on the other side, the Mets dugout was saying, oh, no, is this happening again?
Here we go again, yeah.
So, similar sentiments, just the two extremes.
So this week, Tim, I mean, let's just say that no ground is gained, no ground is lost. They go into that series next week, still 6 games up on the Cubs. Now, you know the win streak's going to come to an end at some point. You just hope it's not anytime soon. But I look ahead to that Cubs series, and part of me early on thought, 5 games down there with the Cubs and the way they've kind of jerry-rigged this schedule, the way we've seen the Cubs do this before, and a doubleheader. And, and I'm thinking, boy, they're just trying to stack the deck the best they can against the Brewers, and the Brewers are going to be the little engine that couldn't. But this time I'm like, no, it seems like the Brewers are just going through checklists. The Dodgers were the checklist, and then the Mets were the checklist. And it's like all the teams that have screwed them have been part of a checklist. Here we go into Chicago, and I'm looking at them as being part of the checklist.
Yeah, and you could see it happen. Now, your Cincinnati Reds there, Bill, that's a tough little series right there. You've got a team that's a little bit more on the similar side to the Brewers. They're young, and they're a little more on the hungry side. They're starting to put a little run together. That series this coming weekend is nothing to just slough off. Francona has always been a second-half manager.
Yeah.
And so that's a series that the Brewers should not overlook a little bit. It's down at their place in Cincinnati. So you're heading in. Hey, it's just, again, I know what Murph's going to say. I know what the players are going to say. And they're going to say, hey, man, we're up for the challenge. This is an opportunity for us to continue doing what we're doing here. But what they're doing is just, here's a question for you, Bill. Go. Is it at some point we have to turn the corner here? Is it a special season because things are just flopping right for them? They're getting a bounce. They're getting a great play here and there. They're tedious on the base pass. They're taking a lot of pitches. They're working pitch counts up. All those little things. And then the special stories, as you ran through, the Andrew Vaughn bursts on the scene and Contreras starts hitting for power. Is it just a special season, or at what point do we pass the baton to, man, they're just damn good?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Instead of going with the intangibles, do we just go with, man, they're a good baseball team?
I think what they have built, Tim, is a terrific culture. I think Pat Murphy is the right guy to push these buttons for younger guys. I think that they have welcomed anybody that's come into that clubhouse with open arms to say, if you can help us, you're a part of this. And even when guys have struggled, we've seen them pick up guys such as a guy like Joey Ortiz, who, makes just a horrible out, comes back to the dugout, and guys are patting him on the helmet. It's not like guys are shying away from him at that point, disappointed in him. It's like guys are picking him up. You see that continuously. And I think there's just something, Tim, as well as I do, when you walk in a clubhouse, you ask somebody about a season and they say, it all came together when, it all became special when. And I think you've just got something like that now.
Yeah, and I think Murphy, leading candidate for manager of the year. I don't know when back-to-backs happened. I'd have to go back and look at that, but it is extremely rare that a manager wins back-to-back manager of the year. And, let's not discount Matt Arnold, who assembled this whole thing.
Right.
And, it's interesting. They must have a great relationship because Murphy talked about Perkins a couple of weeks ago. And this was wild to hear. I've never heard a manager in so many years, if at all, say, "Hey, you send him down, you're sending me down with you, with him." That I thought was the epitome of Pat Murphy. He's not afraid to say things like that. Matt Arnold, they must be, really in lockstep together with the arsenal that they have. Now, would I have made some different changes? Of course. Joey Ortiz would have had a vacation to Nashville earlier in the season. Anthony Siegler right now, I'd have to start thinking about where's our left-handed, hitter going to be to platoon with Durbin, or do you platoon Durbin at all with what he's been doing? So, but you're right. And Murphy will bring up people. This is about human beings, and they're great people and character and intelligence. I look more for the intelligence side of things. Intelligent human beings make slightly better decisions than the norm.
Yeah.
And I think if you get intelligent players, they're going to be better character because that's a decision you make.
Always great to talk to you, Tim. It's been fun. And as the season continues to go on and we continue to enjoy it, we're going to continue to have you back. Okay, bud?
Anytime, Bill, man.
You the man. Appreciate it, Tim. There you go. Tim Allen, host of the Baseball Postgame Show, joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Always great to talk to Tim. He's right there with me. And he's actually glad I said it. So it's like I kicked down the door, so now he can go and say it. Maybe tonight after, hopefully, the Brewers get another win this evening. Kicking that door open, right? Brewers, National League Central, 2025, division champs. You heard it here first. Going to go ahead and take a quick break, come back. When I come back, I want to get in to the discussion regarding Bob Uecker. And I think I want to put something to rest here, okay? So I want to go there, and I want to say this, and I want you to listen and see if you agree. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at The Nice Ash Cigar Bar, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha, Wisconsin. A lot of victory cigars being celebrated down there when it comes to Brewers victories. That's for damn sure. Whether it's the great bourbons and whiskeys, the Big Walking Humidor, they have all different types of hookahs and flavors and live entertainment Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Great place, just a great vibe. Check it out, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha. That's theniceash.com. The Nice Ash Cigar Bar, again, downtown Waukesha.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The roll screen, the ability to roll a window screen up and down like a shade. Pella invested in this breakthrough when the business was born and has introduced the world to innovative, game-changing designs ever since. Hi, I'm Gina Della from Pella. Our incredible craftsmen have always been driven by the principles of traditional American values and the desire to enrich the homes and lives of others. They've been at it for a century. When you want long-lasting comfort and reliability, we make it easy for you to trust Pella. Every piece is specifically constructed for you and your home. Pella always designs with innovation and rigorously tests each product for quality and performance. Our team takes pride in constructing quality windows and doors with meticulous attention to every detail. Investing in new Pella windows and doors creates long-term energy savings and durability that lasts for years. And if you order by August 31st, get 0% interest for up to 5 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Truck drivers, have you been searching for a more reliable driving job? Get the paychecks and predictability you need as a Schneider driver. Schneider's large selection of driving jobs means you can get the home time that suits your schedule. Choose from daily, weekly, monthly, or sometime in between. Plus, Schneider drivers have access to great benefits with a 401k match and a 24/7 support team. Get the keys to a better driving job. Search openings near you and apply now at SchneiderJobs.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Tomorrow night, I'll catch you. LD's Barbecue, LDSBBQ.com. LD's Barbecue. They got bike night tomorrow night. Going to be down there, do a little preaching about our motorcycle ride upcoming, but more so than anything, down there enjoying some music and hanging out and going down to see Leon and the gang. But LD's Barbecue, Main Street in East Troy, Wisconsin. I'll catch you down there tomorrow night, weather permitting, of course. But down at LD's Barbecue, they have bike night every Tuesday night. Otherwise, if you're just stopping down for great award-winning, just to see all the trophies and such that they have down there from all the award-winning barbecue that they've served up, check out LDSBBQ.com. That is LDSBBQ.com. Again, LDSBBQ.com. Check it out. All right. Ebo, I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
How many people, in regards to the Brewers' successes, have brought up Bob Uecker?
Just about everybody, I would say, myself included as well, because I'm running out of ways to describe it, and now I'm going to the supernatural.
Okay.
Or something that's in the heavens. I look at Bob Uecker like an angels in the outfield situation.
So here's my argument, and it's not even an argument. Here's my take on this, because people got mad at me. And I said, well, let me ask you this. Slow your roll. So what I got yesterday, and I'm listening to the post-game show with Tim and those guys, and people are calling in and saying that, there's divine intervention and Bob's doing this and creating errors and all of this stuff. And my first thought was, let's say they face the Dodgers or the Phillies or whomever in the postseason, and none of those errors happen. Does that mean Bob suddenly stopped helping the team in the postseason? Of course not. My argument is, is there something special going on? Absolutely. And more so than anything, I wish Bob was here to be a part of it. My take on this is Bob looking down? If you believe in the heavens and you believe that there is some greater being and you've got the ability as a spiritual entity to look down and enjoy something, that's what Bob is doing. He's got a seat. He's got his using or brat. He's got some popcorn. He's got his Miller Lite. He's looking down and watching games and enjoying it just like everybody else. My argument is, don't put it on something supernatural is happening because of Bob, because let's say they don't win in the postseason. Does that mean then Bob didn't have enough pull or enough juice to be able to actually create something in the postseason as opposed to the regular season? Or he didn't show up, like he had something better to do, so he wasn't paying attention to the games. So do I think something cool is happening? Yes. Yes, I do. I think that this is a team, as I've stated before, built on speed and defense and really good pitching. And in doing so, they have put pressure on teams to be perfect and get rid of the ball quickly, which causes them to hurry, which causes them to create errors within themselves. It's concentration things. That's what's happening. It's not because Bob is knocking the ball out of their way or knocking it out of their glove. Again, because what will the disappointment be is if they don't win a World Series or they suddenly get knocked out of the postseason, that suddenly Bob didn't care. So I'm not going there. My take is Bob, like all fans, whatever heavenly entity and being you want to throw out there at this point, don't put the pressure of Bob has to create errors and create things for this team to win. What I say is Bob sitting there with his Miller Lite in his front row seat and his using her sausage and some popcorn and whatever else it is that Bob likes. He's looking down with the glasses on and the earpiece on, and he's probably calling his own game to everybody up there in whatever great beyond there is and just enjoying baseball like the rest of us. That's my take on this. This whole thing of it's only happening because of Bob. I think, one, you're doing Bob a disservice, and two, you're really doing the players a disservice who have really put together one hell of a season. And it's a shame that Bob's not here to enjoy it. That's true. And it would be a shame if all of a sudden they won a World Series this year as opposed to last year. But everything's coming together right now. And maybe it just took them a little extra time. But I get, it drives me nuts when people say, oh, it's because of Bob. Maybe the inspiration's there. Maybe you can say they've got a picture of him up, or guys walk through that clubhouse every day, saying, hey, let's play a little extra hard today. Bob would have loved to have seen this, or maybe he's creating conversation or what have you. But it's not because all of a sudden Bob's reaching down some spiritual hand and knocking the ball out of Alonso's glove. You know what I mean? So that's my take on all of this.
I think people are running out of ways to describe things, so they go to that. First it's like, oh, this team. Well, first against the Yankees, you're like, oh, this team stinks. They just got pounded by the torpedo bats. Right. And it's like, oh, this team's turning around a little bit. Now they're good. Oh, now they're great. Now it's unbelievable. Yeah. Now it's unreal. And now it's like, well, I've lost words to describe what it means anymore. So supernatural.
Yeah, it's just there's so many things. Kyle brings up a good point. Brewers take a lot of good pitches, a lot of good at bats. Fielders are standing around a little bit more. Pitchers are under pressure to make pitches. You can go on and on and on. But the whole thing where it's Bob slapping the ball out of guys' gloves, putting sunlight in guys' eyes or whatever, that's, I just like slow your roll. He's enjoying it just like everybody else is. If you believe in the great beyond, then he's enjoying the hell out of this season. How
much credit do you give to Marco Donazio? Because he said, you remember, is it my job to win a World Series, or is it my job to provide a summer of fun and entertainment? Hasn't this summer been incredibly fun? He's given it to you, the summer of fun, which equates to wins.
Here's my question. Are they winning because of or in spite of?
It's like a major league situation.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I mean, when we don't talk at all about ownership going all in, we don't go there. We look at Matt Arnold doing the best he can with what he has to work with, and Pat Murphy being the right guy to manage this team and bring the youth and skill and such and the ability to come together with the guys that he has, and Chris Hook and company, and bench coach Ricky Weeks, and who's not that far removed from his playing days. And, there's a lot there, but do we look at it as this team's winning in spite of the reduction of payroll?
Do you think Craig Counsell would have stayed if Marco Donazio opened up the pocketbooks even more to give more money than the Cubs? Or did Marco Donazio's, I don't want to say cheapness, but not wanting to spend so much to keep Craig, therefore you get Pat Murphy has inspired things?
No, the way I understood it was when they traded Hader, they were in the midst of a pennant race at that point, and they traded Hader for the money, and that was it. That was when I think Craig, from what I understand, just from people I've talked to, said, you just don't value winning like you do money. And that was it. That left a sour taste in quite a few people's mouths. And remember, that was also at the same time when Attanasio did that interview that said, oh, no, we're in the Juan Soto deal. I mean, money's no object. And then after all of it was said and done, he threw David Stearns under the bus. Well, I asked David, I don't know. I'm not involved in that. I'm trying to, kind of step back from that. When all you find out is he's involved in every decision regarding the Brewers. So either he is or he isn't, but certainly the one that went south that left the worst taste in everybody's mouth, suddenly he's claiming he had no knowledge of and or any hand in. So it's like, no, you can't do that, dude. You can't do that. So I think that was it. I don't think Counsell stays regardless.
Yeah, Marco Donazio is such a, I mean, you could look at it either way, that it's despite of, or he knows how to, it's like Ted Thompson, he went out there and he would find the best deals. He could find like the Oscar winning movies in the $1 bin that they used to have at Walmart, right? Marco Donazio is like, well, there's something cheaper than that.
Right.
Like you could look at it like he knows how to stretch $1,
right?
Or it's like, man, you're handcuffing this team without stretching dollars,
He's wearing an Armani suit at a yard sale.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. He's wearing an Armani suit at a yard sale. So that's Mark. But, hey, if you're finding, gems at a yard sale and with Matt Arnold, then it is what it is. But I think what we're witnessing is not only do guys have potential to play and they've done their due diligence when it comes to drafting and being able to make some trades, but they're also finding that when you have guys that love to come to work and be together, it can elevate your performance as opposed to what we've heard discussed before, where guys are just playing to play for their contract.
Yeah.
So, and there is a difference there, without a doubt. All right, when we come back, we'll go back to football. Matt LaFleur, you're going to hear his comments after that kind of ugly game, to be perfectly honest with you, that kind of ugly game that happened on Saturday night up at Lambeau Field. Don't go anywhere. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at the Water Doctors. Go to H2doctors.com. They have, Connecticut is by far the best water softening system out there. I have it in my home, and I swear by it. It was great to get back home after, quite frankly, don't get me wrong, we had a little bit of a water softener inside the RV, but to get back home and get the soft water and clean water and to be able to take a shower and actually feel like you're clean again, oh, God, it was so good. It was so good to get back home and have the drinking water, not out of a plastic bottle, but just fresh, clean drinking water out of the reverse osmosis that I had this morning. It's awesome. Check them out anywhere in the state of Wisconsin. Give them a call, 262-549-7733, 262-549-7733. And think about this right now, with all the problems with flooding going on right now. If you've got water coming in to your home, say from a system that might have been breached, they even have a bot you can put on your water softening unit that will tell you if you've got additional bacteria coming into your home, that will alert you if you don't have good, fresh, clean drinking water. For you, your pets, your kids, think about that. They've got so many innovations. Check out the Water Doctors, H2doctors.com, or call them direct, 262-549-7733. Matt LaFleur coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The roll screen, the ability to roll a window screen up and down like a shade. Pella invested in this breakthrough when the business was born and has introduced the world to innovative, game-changing designs ever since. Hi, I'm Gina Della from Pella. Our incredible craftsmen have always been driven by the principles of traditional American values and the desire to enrich the homes and lives of others. They've been at it for a century. When you want long-lasting comfort and reliability, we make it easy for you to trust Pella. Every piece is specifically constructed for you and your home. Pella always designs with innovation and rigorously tests each product for quality and performance. Our team takes pride in constructing quality windows and doors with meticulous attention to every detail. Investing in new Pella windows and doors creates long-term energy savings and durability that lasts for years. And if you order by August 31st, get 0% interest for up to 5 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Phil Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. I know this one. It's got a Joe in it. I hate everything about you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. How we looking? Yeah, the weather, the play on the field, sloppy penalties. Dare I say wash, rinse, repeat from what we saw some of last year? Teaching moment. But that being said, Matt LaFleur, after the game the other night on Saturday night at Lambeau Field in front of a massive disappointed crowd for the way they performed, here's what he had to say.
You always tell us the film's never as bad as you thought. It's never as good as you thought. Was it as bad as you thought this time? Or?
It never is, but there's a lot of things that we absolutely need to clean up. I guess the encouraging thing is that I feel like a lot of these corrections, I mean, we can correct, but we have to go do it, and we have to be urgent about that. So, it wasn't great, but you got to live and you got to learn and you got to move on.
What are the things you really need to correct?
Well, I'm just like, you talk about that first drive with our defense. We had a busted coverage on the third down that they converted for a chunk game where we should have had a guy all over the check down and went for a big hit. We got a guy get cut out of the gap on the big run that they had. So I think then we had guys dropping balls offensively. We had holding penalties. A lot of that can be attributed to, I think, technique. And also, Monk had a holding penalty where we fanned out to a blitzing safety off the edge, which we should never fan out to. I mean, that's the backs guy. So it put Monk in a bad situation. So I think a lot of the things that we can do, it just starts by everybody owning their responsibility, trusting their rules. Because when you don't and you do something that is unexpected, it puts people in bad spots.
Man, the actual NFL refs come into practice and all this camp, I feel like by now they've usually been here.
Yeah, they'll be here when we scrimmage versus Seattle.
Okay. Is that, do you feel like your guys, maybe the penalties had nothing to do with that last night, but do you feel like your guys are more aware of that after they have the quote-unquote real officials here?
Possibly. I mean, I think a couple of those, and this goes both ways, are very iffy calls, in my opinion, that don't typically get called in the regular season. And then there's some procedural things that absolutely needed to get called. And there was one even on Amar's long touchdown where I don't think we're in a legal formation. So, that's what the preseason's for, to work out some of the kinks.
having slept on it, you practice a couple weeks and then you're not happy with the first practice you get to see. Does that cause you to reevaluate anything about how you're practicing, or are you just chalking up that's one sample size and kind of stick with your process?
Yeah, we're going to stick with our process. This is, we feel pretty good about how we've been doing in the past. I think last year, this time, we got a wake-up call versus Denver. So you'd rather have it now than in the regular season, but you got to do something about it too.
Is 80% okay?
Same, we'll miss some time, but nothing long-term.
Now, so Colby wouldn't look like he was a pretty good presence against the run. Are you seeing a little bit different player from what he's been?
I thought he was good against the run and the pass. I thought he had a nice night. On one of the passes, he got his hands up in the air, tipped the ball, put some pressure on the quarterback. But I thought he played with good leverage, good hand usage. Was able to defeat blocks. So I thought he had a pretty good night.
What did you think of Malik's night, given the circumstances and everything around him?
I thought there was some really good things. I mean, he was put in a couple of tough situations, and but I think there's also some things just that we can do a little bit better. So many times, just thinking back through some of the plays that, I mean, he's trying to throw a screen out and we don't use the right technique on the screen. So a guy's in his lane, he's got to, dart forward for whatever he can get. There's another time he tries to throw a run alert. We don't run the run alert. So, he was put in some pretty tough spots.
Should he, or is it reasonable for him to have stepped up on the strip sack, or is he at his end?
We bested that protection. Yeah. So the back shouldn't have been in the way right there. Yeah, I think he knocked off our tackle. I do think there's a timing element. I mean, you're backed up. We're running a 7-step timing concept that we're playing off, where you get to a second hitch. It's usually find your check down. I just think that probably could be a little bit better from his part, but also we've got to clean up the protection. We can't do that in that situation.
Seeing Bo Melton at cornerback for the first time against another opponent, what do you think of his performance last night?
Yeah, the one thing I'm going to tell you about Bo is he's going to compete, and I think that was pretty evident. There was one of the third downs I think we got a little loose and a little soft on, and where we played a zone defense, and they threw a zone beater right into it. But he'd like us to see, and we talked about it as a staff of just, trying to challenge in that situation. I think it was 3rd and 2, and they hit a little, what we call a spot route for like a 8 or 10 yard gain. So, but Bo is always going to compete, and I think he's going to continue to improve the more he plays.
And what'd you like when you got done watching the film?
I like that there's a lot to learn from and improve upon. That's what I like, and I like that it happened in the preseason. So I think it's a good opportunity and a good reminder to everybody that you just don't wake up and roll out of bed and beat teams in this league. I mean, you gotta come with a purpose. You got to get mentally prepared to play the game. And I'm not saying that's why we perform poorly. I'm not saying that. But also you got to trust that the work that you're putting in on a daily basis when you're out there in the practice field, it's got to translate to the game field. And when you start playing with poor technique, you're probably going to get beat. So I think that's a good lesson for a lot of these, really everybody, in terms of just trusting your training and your technique and being intentional about what you're doing so that it can translate and show up on game day.
Now, what did you think about how Anthony Belton played? Is there any idea or thought about letting him compete a little at guard?
I think there's there was some good and some things that we absolutely have to clean up. Just like many young players, as far as the guard position, that's a possibility, but we want to get them comfortable at tackle first and foremost.
Did you think he was physical in the run game? Was he considered?
Yeah, there was. I think consistency is one of the things that we got to work on with him. Just being, he flashes the ability, he flashes the talent. I think it's a matter of time. I think he's getting better. There's some great plays out there. He had a knockdown Mars long touchdown run. So I think there was certainly some good things, and then there's some things that, like the penalty on Monk, where we fan out to a blitzer that we can't do. So
I think we were down like 4 quote unquote regular receivers last night. No Wicks, Reed, Savion, Christian. How do you get the timing of that passing game right for the week one if you don't have a lot of reps?
Well, the other guys got to step up and go in there and do what they're coached to do and execute the way they're supposed to execute. And the one thing I will tell you, and I don't want to make this sound like an excuse, but there's not a whole lot of game planning involved week one. So I think there's things that we can do schematically to help our guys out a little bit. You want to see guys go out there. You're running more simplistic plays, but you want to see them win their one-on-one matchups. And unfortunately, I would say they got the better of us in those situations.
There you go. That's Matt LaFleur talking after the game. It was, we'll kind of go over this, but it was not a terrific performance by any stretch of the imagination when it comes to, even though he said, look, we didn't really game plan for this, but you want to see the guys win the one-on-ones, and they weren't winning the one-on-ones, unfortunately. This portion of the program brought to you by our friend at Dwayne's, DUANES, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. And whether it's a boat cover or upholstery, office furniture, maybe an awning out in front of your business to dress up your business, or maybe your awning looks like crap and you need a new one, that's the guy to go to. Go to Dwayne's, DUANES, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. It is worth the phone call, 715-870-2119, 715-870-2119. Again, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com, or call them direct, 715-870-2119.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The engines are coming to life. It's race season again. Vintage, Superbikes, IndyCar, and more. For tickets and information, go to roadamerica.com. That's roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Coming up after the top of the hour, we're going to hear from Jeff Hasley, coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. Some of his comments after the game the other night. The Packers it was a sloppy game. I don't know how else to put it. It just, drop passes, and here we go with the holding penalties and a couple of the pre-snap penalties. And it just, they were outgained 403 yards to 188. Just so many things that just did not look good. And some of the concentration stuff that they went through, it wasn't a clean game by any stretch of the imagination. And so, look, I don't put a lot of stock into the first preseason game. The Jets needed that game because they've got a new coaching staff. They're trying to set a new culture. They're trying to get their fans into it. 30-10, okay, yada, yada. But it wasn't a good game by any stretch. Jordan Love, 1 of 5 for 7 yards. People looked at that. Oh God, he's throwing off his back foot again. No, it's 5 attempts. 5 attempts. To me, the biggest thing that came out of that was you saw Jaden Reed in a walking boot. Which you knew he was nicked up, but you didn't know he needed a walking boot. I mean, that's anytime a guy's in a boot, that's not a good thing, So you got guys like Shepard and Fitzpatrick and Sims and stuff. Those were your go-to guys, and so you want to see better. I get it, okay, but yeah, I'm not going to go to freak out mode over one. Now you wait and see what they do next, and if some of these things are quote cleaned up. When you go 1 of 10 on third down, man, that sucks. Your fans are like yawning at that point, going, okay, just let us know when it's over. Stay tuned. We got 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this. We'll be right back.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers still rolling as they prep for a visit from the Pirates tonight at American Family Field. Milwaukee's won 9 straight, sit 6 games up on the Cubs for first place in the NL Central, 5 games clear of any other team in baseball. They've done it in a variety of ways, including coming back from a 5-0 deficit yesterday to the Mets that Isaac Collins finished off with a walk-off home run.
Special for sure. I've been on a few teams where we go on runs like this, and it's hard to really describe. It's just like magic in the air almost, but that's how baseball is. It's just fun. We're having a lot of fun. That's the best way I can describe it.
Milwaukee did that with more than 33,000 fans in the stands, despite flooding throughout the city from a major storm. Manager Pat Murphy applauded fans coming out and said a lot of it had to do with the team they get to watch.
Just a team win, just a team thing. I think if you don't love what's going on in there and you're part of this thing, then you need to check yourself, because this has been a lot of fun, the way these guys compete, the way they pull for each other.
Again, the Crew will be back in action tonight with the Pirates in town. Milwaukee will send Jose Quintana to the mound He's 9-4 with a 3.54 ERA. Pittsburgh counters with Andrew Haney. He's 5-9 with a 4.77 ERA. First pitch is set for 6:40.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
All business owners want the same thing, to make their business succeed. At Rural Mutual, they help that happen. As the third largest writer of commercial business in Wisconsin, they take the time to learn your business so they can properly protect you. Call your local agent today or visit ruralmutual.com.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Packers return to the practice field today as they look to regroup after a blowout loss to the Jets in their preseason opener. Coach Matt LaFleur said there were breakdowns in all three phases of the game in that one. Packers will be at Indianapolis this Saturday. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Welcome in. We are past the halfway point. The Bill Michaels Show on a Monday. Celebrating the National League Central as the Brewers get ready to host the Pirates, and also taking a look up north where the Green Bay Packers left us wanting more, might be the best way to put it, when it comes to their performance on Saturday night. You want to get a hold of us, 877-867-1670. You can text us 608-321-1670 at Ebo Says, as Graham Bills is off on vacation. He's fishing somewhere in like Montana, correct? I think it's
Montana, somewhere on some beautiful looking river, I think somewhere.
With 1 foot.
he told me he's going to get a second a water boot and a dry boot, and he's going to put like felt or treads on the water boot so he can walk around with it.
Okay, so he's going to tempt fate. So
he is going to tempt fate.
There you go. I like it. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if we get a text in the middle of the night saying I got stuck between two rocks. A fish swam up my ass, and the next thing you know, I'm laying face down in a stream somewhere because he broke the other one. But
he might like some of that on vacation. We don't know.
You never know. Ooh. Grant's kind of a cool cat in that regard. Let's do this. Let's bring him in now. The man, the myth, the legend himself. It is Mike Clemens joining us on the hotline. Michael, how you doing, pal? What's going on?
Hi, Bill. Welcome back. Speaking of boots, I'm 20 yards away from number 11, Jaden Reed, and his left foot is in a boot right now, standing there chatting on the sidelines with Matthew Golden, Will Shepard, wide receivers they're kind of excited about, and there's Keyshawn Nixon there in the conversation. They are doing some special teams right now. They're doing punt team, and Daniel Whelan is punting the ball, and somebody jumped or was out of formation or something, and Rich Bisaccia let him have it. Words we can't say on the radio, but they lose 30-10, and maybe you tuned into a little bit of the game, and you saw the results, and maybe you see people getting upset on social media, and then you say to yourself, it's just preseason. There was a team called the Detroit Lions that won all 4 of their preseason games back in the day, and they went 0-16. But this was a craptastic performance. And when I watch preseason football, and I watch a lot of it because it does prepare you for guys that are going to be on the move. When you get into the regular season, maybe guys that the Green Bay Packers pick up, I don't look at the scoreboard. I just look at the matchups. You evaluate who's winning their one-on-ones and that kind of thing. And that's where the Packers were losing, Bill. I mean, up and down the line. It got to be by toward the end of the second quarter, and drop passes, 12-yard gains, holding on the center, 13-yard gains, and a completion, another holding call on the offensive line. And, LaFleur has said we got our asses kicked. And then yesterday when we talked to him, he said, you can't just roll out of bed and play football. I have no idea. This performance, even though it's just a preseason game, it's so inexplicable from what we're trying to see in training camp and on family night. It almost reminds me like the mystery, the enigma of how flat the Dallas Cowboys were in that playoff game at home against the Packers. And I'm not hyping it up.
Right.
I'm just saying these coaches, who are you guys? What the hell is going on? Because they got their asses physically kicked by this Jets team with a new head coach and Aaron Glenn.
Mike, some guys that stood out specifically, I didn't see much, and I've gone back and watched it now. I didn't see much out of Van Ness. I was hoping to see some out of him. Belton, I did see some good things out of, so I saw Anthony Belton play pretty well. And Hopper, I thought, played extremely well. But there were some guys, like you had mentioned. I saw Sean Ryan at one point. I saw Zach Tom at one point. I saw some of these guys that just kind of got shoved around. And like you said, it was inexplicable because we've seen them play well in the past.
And also, Bill, I mean, I was working that depth chart hard. It wasn't like, Aaron Glenn's keeping his ones out there through 3 quarters. No. They had a third-string quarterback named Martinez who was, like 11 for 15 or something. He was moving the football. Mm-hmm. He was making some nice passes to the third-string quarterback. And, your second or third-string secondary, guys who may be playing out there, these guys were wide open. They weren't covered on the sidelines. They were moving the football. So, inexplicable. But we spent all day yesterday talking to the coaches and then mostly the defensive staff. And then today they kind of gave us this last night. I'm at a practice right now that's closed to the public, media only. LaFleur came over and chatted with us on the sidelines, and I was making a couple of jokes. You know what? I thanked him. I said, now thank you for telling us about the Wendell Davis assistant coach, the ball king. The guy who he's keeping score of every time that you can get a forced fumble in practice or interception. But, he cuts those all up and he plays them back as highlights or the misses, the missed opportunities. But if a guy gets a turnover in practice, then they play a siren. Light goes off, right? So they have some fun with it. It's almost like a game show. And I said to Matt, thank you for sharing that with us, because that's like a hard knock story. And see, we were able to do it without those pesky cameras here.
Right.
He said, yeah. He said, yeah, that's the last thing I want. But he says, pretty soon we're going to have to do it. But then he said some words about, anyway, we played like dog blank the other night. He can't figure it out, but he's going to try and fix it before they have a joint practice in Indianapolis later this week.
Mike, do you notice we talked about a different intensity of Matt LaFleur answering questions even before I went on vacation. Do you notice it even more intense yesterday and then going into today, looking at this team, like you had said, like, what the hell was that? Who are these guys? Because, the reaction now outside looking in, people are saying, well, same old LaFleur, same old problems, so wash, rinse, repeat, as I had mentioned, where you're seeing holding penalties and drop passes and a lot of this disciplinary stuff. Do you see a different intensity out of Matt LaFleur because of this?
I see some smiles right now. First team offense, first team defense. Josh Jacobs off the left-hand side, 40-yard touchdown run. Burst. Got open. Even though it's helmet and shorts, would have been a touchdown. Bill, here's how Matt LaFleur is playing it and always has played it. He does not want to be on some viral reel of having a Coach Grant meltdown. I don't think he wants to say anything positive or negative. He just doesn't want to be quoted. Let Dan Campbell have that stuff. Mm-hmm. Let the other coaches have it. He's kind of and McVay is very well spoken, sometimes outspoken, but I think it comes from that. And how many times do you see Kyle Shanahan in the headlines? Never.
Right.
That's the way these guys play the microphone as cool as possible. They do not want to become the story. You're trying to sustain a job, right? Right. Occasionally, Mike McCarthy said something funny that got repeated and viral. And, of course, when you work for Jerry Jones for 5 years, well, then you're going to get sucked into the media wheel. Right. But there's no question that he's impatient. He's angry. He's looking over his shoulder. He has a new boss evaluating him and this team. They have lost their ranking in the NFC North. There's 2 teams that have passed you up now the last couple of years. And this is your era now. This is your quarterback. This is your team. And how are you going to get back and at least, command your division, much less get these guys to a Super Bowl? That's the challenge. And he's all over these dudes. It's loud. And, he's still trying to be a player's coach where people buy into him. But, he's getting impatient, and there's plenty of anger and fire out here in the practice field and in the meeting rooms as well, according to what the players say. I don't know if necessarily the players are not responding to it. I think when they all came in from their off season, they were all just as ticked off and realized that their sense of urgency is here. This is mostly a third year of the program team, a couple of guys in their fourth year like Romeo Dobbs, but they realize now this is their time. And when you're just looking at that wide receiver room, man, Matthew Golden and Fabian Williams have jobs. There's going to be some guys that aren't here, and they better figure out a way on stop dropping passes. So to me, in this training camp, and while you were gone, one day I said to Grant, I said, here's my analogy. It would have been like in a choir, and people are auditioning, and they're all singing and saying, oh, there's some pretty good voices. And you get the choir together, and you can't seem to get through a song without a mistake.
Right.
That's what these guys are. You see all these individual talented players and doing talented things. I've yet to see a good sustained drive. Then Thursday's practice was in helmets and shorts, and there was some pretty good execution. And I came out of that one feeling better. And then you lay this turd Saturday night against the Jets.
Right. Mike, who is team leadership wise? Because I know they were hoping that, obviously Jordan Love would step up. You've got guys defensively, Xavier McKinney and company, Josh Jacobs, obviously on the offensive side. But for guys that are looking for everybody to get on the same page, not only is it the head coach and the offensive coordinators, who are the guys that are stepping up to say, damn it, you got to get this right?
This is going to be interesting now on defense, Bill, because Xavier McKinney, he's out now. He's got the calf injury. He's not even out there now. And I just talked about Jaden Reed. He's over there in a boot. Quay Walker is not out there right now, but he was able to practice some, so he's getting close. And again, they're still back in the Quay Walker camp. They want him to wear the green dot. This is a great thing that Hafley said about Quay Walker yesterday. So a year ago at this time, you would radio in the play to Quay like at a practice or something, and you might have to repeat it. He said, now, even though he's been watching, he said, I'll get into the first 2 or 3 words of the defense. I won't even get to the end of it with the alerts or the special, changes or disguises. He finishes the sentence for me. So when they get number 7 back on the field, now you've got, a guy that's lining up people that now is getting it that much more faster in terms of the defense. Now, if he can stay healthy and get back off of this ankle surgery, which he had in May, he thought he had a high ankle sprain through the offseason. When he got back here at OTAs, he realized, there's something still wrong. So that's why he had the surgery, and he's missed his first half of training camp. To answer your question in terms of leadership, I don't know. I want to come up with something more creative than Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney. And Jordan Love, he continues to grow. You can hear that in the press conferences. But I'll tell you what, everybody knows this. Matthew Golden's going to be the star of the team. 22 is a great football player.
Yeah.
And so they've got some action going on there. Now you're just waiting for this damn offensive line to figure out who they are and start to gel and get together. But right now, there's Jordan Morgan lining up still at left tackle, number 77, because you got Rasheed Walker still out with this groin injury. And a couple of guys getting back, though. Marshawn Lloyd, a running back, I think he's going to finally be getting on the field this week and maybe take some carries. He was in some individual drills the other day. And Emmanuel Wilson, he's watching guys like Amar Johnson out of nowhere, run for that touchdown the other night. He knows that's how he earned a job here 2 years ago. He's trying to get back on the field after his badly bruised knee injury. So that will, because that running back competition after Josh Jacobs, wide open.
Mike, before I let you go, so you talked about the offensive line. Obviously, there's a lot of things to touch on, but what are some of the things specifically we're watching for either progress or continuation of success coming into this particular contest this coming weekend?
Well, I guess it's got to be the penalties, because that really killed them. That physicality, right. Bill. Physicality. I mean, hit somebody. Let's go. I was almost going to say something else.
Right.
I mean, it's, that's where LaFleur's got the head scratcher. Like, I thought we were building toward that. I thought we're on time with that. And how did you guys just think that the New York Jets, maybe these guys underestimated the Jets. Maybe they didn't talk about the Jets enough or whatever. But Aaron Glenn's first-year coach, these guys wanted to win for him. And And they're all under, that whole team is under evaluation, right? I mean, this is the guy who told Aaron Rodgers, we don't need you anymore. So those Jets, everybody, those guys know, hey, new regime, man. You know, nobody's got a job here in New York. You got to earn it. Well, they did Saturday night.
Yeah, no doubt. Mike, great stuff as always, pal. I appreciate it. And if you get anything else, let us know, okay?
Will do, Bill. Thank you, sir.
You the man. There you go. Mike Clemens live up in Green Bay, joining us via training camp update and getting ready for this weekend's contest as well. And he's just looking for physicality, just fundamental physicality. There you go. Mike Clemens joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to come back. When we do, you're going to hear from the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. So don't go anywhere. This portion of the program brought to you by Veterans America, the top VA lender for home buyers in our state, the state of Wisconsin. Go to veteransamerica.com. Call James. James was out there in the Black Hills with us, riding around and helping us kind of prep for the motorcycle ride coming up and spreading the word coming up on Sunday, August 31st. But if you want to get a hold of him for, say, a VA loan when it comes to a first mortgage, a new home, how about a second home, second mortgage, refi, whatever it happens to be, call James directly. 262-255-2000, 262-255-2000. Tell them we sent you. They are the top VA lender for home buyers, and they know all the loopholes, all the little hurdles you got to go through because there's a lot of them governmentally, and they believe in owning the land you defend. 262-255-2000. That's 262-255-2000. That's Veterans America.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The roll screen, the ability to roll a window screen up and down like a shade. Pella invested in this breakthrough when the business was born and has introduced the world to innovative, game-changing designs ever since. Hi, I'm Gina Della from Pella. Our incredible craftsmen have always been driven by the principles of traditional American values and the desire to enrich the homes and lives of others. They've been at it for a century. When you want long-lasting comfort and reliability, we make it easy for you to trust Pella. Every piece is specifically constructed for you and your home. Pella always designs with innovation and rigorously tests each product for quality and performance. Our team takes pride in constructing quality windows and doors with meticulous attention to every detail. Investing in new Pella windows and doors creates long-term energy savings and durability that lasts for years. And if you order by August 31st, get 0% interest for up to 5 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Our buddy Mike Clements brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable, perfect for that family stay. The Bay Family Restaurant right next door. Home-style cooking 7 days a week and just a mile from Lambeau Field. Go to BayMotelGreenBay.com for all the information and to make a reservation. BayMotelGreenBay.com or call them direct 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441. Also, all of our guests appear on the Schneider Orange Hotline. Go to SchneiderJobs.com. Call them 844-BRIDE. SchneiderJobs.com. Type in your zip code, and they can find you a gig near you. And if you want to get your CDL, they can even help you with that. Call them 844-PRIDE. That is 844-PRIDE, or go to SchneiderJobs.com. That is SchneiderJobs.com. Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, after the contest, which we watched the Jets pretty much dice up that Packers defense. Here's what the defensive coordinator had to say.
Jeff, what did you want to see in live contact with guys in the box, particularly the veterans, and then who stood out from your seat for the first time, like draft picks or undrafted guys on your defense?
Yeah, what do you want to see in the box? You want to see the guys up front play with great hands, great technique, win their gaps, get off blocks. We don't want guys to stay blocked. We want everybody, shedding their blocks, trying to get to the ball, guys attacking the ball, linebackers, being lined up where they're supposed to be, finishing violent and attacking the football. And I thought we saw some of that, and then there's definitely a lot we got to clean up too. Just calling out a few guys who I thought did a good job. I thought some guys up front played well. And some of the young guys, like you mentioned, some young guys, you get rookies in there like Stackhouse, who played a lot of snaps, and Brinson, who played a lot of snaps, and Sorrell. Those were 3 rookie D linemen. I thought they did a nice job. Certainly there's things that they need to get better at, but I like the way they competed. I thought they played really hard and they strained. I thought Sorrell had some good pass rushes, and he got a couple hits on the quarterback. Just jumping out. I thought JJ did a nice job. We played him in quite a few snaps, and I like how he played. He was aggressive. He used his hands. He set the edge. He got off blocks. Cox played a little bit more than the 10 plays, and he was a guy who was violent and made some plays in that game. Colby Wooden, I thought he had a really good day, and he graduated, so that was a really cool day for him, and it was a really neat day. I give Matt a ton of credit for doing that and taking time out of our day because of how meaningful that was and important. That decision to have him graduate in our team meeting was a really cool thing. And then KB, I thought those guys played hard up front, and I thought they did some good. And there's definitely things that, we need to clean up, and that's what the preseason's for.
What do you think you might have there in Sorrell, not just last night, but the totality of his camp so far?
In totality of camp, I think he's a young guy who's learning how to play the position. You got a guy who has pass rush ability. He strains. Here's what I saw last night. He got better as the game went on. He made mistakes in the game, and the same drive, he was correcting them, which says a lot, which doesn't really happen a lot of times for rookie players. He was correcting mistakes, and he was fixing his own mistakes fairly quickly, which to me might be the most promising thing. His toughness, we know, his leadership, I think he has a chance to be a really good leader down the road. But certainly we need to keep working with him too. It's early. It's early for all these guys.
Sticking with Sorrell, he's played some defensive tackle for you guys in practice. Is that just a necessity sort of thing, or is that something that you can do even at his
We're not putting him in like a true nose or like a true 3 technique. There's certain fronts where he's going to kind of reduce down, and he might play a 5 technique. So we might play he might play a 4 technique. So you might see him head up on a tackle, right? If we get into certain situations, he might slide inside and play in a 3 technique. So we might see him on the guard. Just trying to experiment and see what we can do with him right now. Pretty basic though last night with where we were lining him up. A couple times he was inside on the tackle. We're just trying to find out how much he can do and push him.
Jeff, what do you think for Quay? Obviously, he hasn't had a lot of actual team reps, but I know he's been back there behind the play, watching a lot. What do you think the next step in evolution is for him to take this year?
We got to get him back in practice. I mean, that's what you said I love about Quay. He's really locked in, and if you do watch him at practice, he's even further where I am, and he's kind of going through everything. And he started doing that last year a lot, and I think that says a lot about him. We need to get him back in practice because there's nothing that is a replacement for that. He needs to see it. He needs to feel it. He needs to get his feet back under him. He started practicing last week. I think we'll take a big step with him this week in the joint practice against the Colts, which I'm excited to see. And from there, we'll go. We need to get him back in practice.
When he's back there, is he listening? Does he have the speaker?
Oh, yeah. So he listens to me just like he did in the game last night, which is very important because, when you call in a play, sometimes it's a little lengthier too, and there's kind of rhythm to it. So he gets it on, he hears it over and over and over. So say I start a call with the first 2 or 3 words, he can almost finish my sentences and then kind of give me the thumbs up, right? And he kind of knows how I'm thinking. So it is really important. What alert am I going to tag on the call? What am I going to tell him to be ready for? So him and I start to kind of really be on the same page. So,
that part of it improved with him, and has he picked that up?
Oh yeah, it's been awesome. I can say 2 words and he'll look back and know the rest of the call, which was not always the case. So it'd be good to get him back in that regard too. At the same time, if you look, McDuffie's had to do that a lot. He did it last night. Hopper's had to do it, which is forcing other guys to develop and have the ability to do that. Because in this season, we're gonna have other guys have to play other positions, and they can't be excuses, right? We got to have them ready, and that's just another way to help that out.
What do you like about coaching Keyshawn Nixon and what you saw from him last year at outside corner? What was it that gives you the confidence he can full-time handle that role this year?
Yeah, he's competitive. He can play man coverage, which is important. You have to be able to play man to be on the outside because he can run, he can cover, he can change direction, and I like that he'll tackle. He's a physical guy. Teams are going to try to get your corners one-on-one and force them to tackle, and he's going to do that. So those are the things I believe he can do what he did. Didn't really have much action last night, but hopefully we'll get him more this week in practice and as we go forward in these games.
What have you learned about him? Not on the field, but I was talking to Josh Jacobs the other day, and he goes way back with him, and he didn't say Keyshawn's crazy, but he said he has a little something to him. And do you have to be on an island like that all the time?
Yeah, I wouldn't say you got to be crazy.
Right.
I'm just joking. Yeah. Here's what you have to have at corner. You got to have a short-term memory because imagine you're out there one-on-one in front of our whole stadium and you just give up a go ball, and you got to be able to line up the next play and still have the confidence to do it again, right? That's not that easy. You're one-on-one. It's you against somebody else. You might have no help, and you might get beat, and everybody in the world knows it, but you have to have the confidence to go and do it again. I think that takes a pretty strong-minded person. And most of those corners are. You have to be confident. Sometimes the really good corners I've been around, you can say, wow, they're really confident. They better be. They got to think they're the man even after they get beat 2 or 3 times because you can't, all of a sudden you can't start getting in your feelings. You got to go out and do it again. And the best ones have that.
Jeff, you mentioned Stackhouse a minute ago. What do you think you might have in him and how you can maybe develop him?
Strong. He's really stout in the middle at that nose position. He can play shade. He can play on the guard. He can play head up on the center. So he gives us some flexibility in how we want to play with our front. He's got really strong hands. He can get off blocks. He can hold up on double teams. He gives us a big body on the inside, right? And we got to keep getting better now. And just like the rest of those young guys, it's still early, and we have to keep developing them, and he has to keep working. And we'll see as this training camp goes where he finishes.
Jeff, I know that earlier in the week you told us about his narcolepsy and the stuff that he's had to go through in order to be out there and
Tom at Stackhouse in the meetings, and you guys say you can take a lap and all those things. How have you seen him persevere through that and kind of keep that in the rearview mirror, but know that that's still a thing?
Yeah, me, truthfully, I haven't seen it as an issue. You know, I'm in their meetings quite a bit, and he might stand up here and there, just like every other player who's tired, and that happens just so they don't doze off. I mean, training camp gets long. I haven't seen it be an issue. I haven't seen him use it as an excuse. I haven't heard much about it. I give him a ton of credit because I can't imagine having to deal with that and go out there and play football on some of those long drives with how big he is. So I have a ton of respect for him and how he's fought it and how everyone's been really supportive of it.
How do you feel like the team, I think you've been enforcing getting the ball away and punching at the ball? I know you said you liked the violent actions last night, but no forced takeaways, you probably wanted one. How do you feel like the team transferred that over from catching the game?
Yeah, that's a fair question. And, I don't think it translated over like we've been practicing. Take the win or take the loss out of it. That's probably the one thing that, I think we take the most pride in, and I don't think we did good enough. So that starts with me. It didn't translate. And that's the whole key to this game, and not just in takeaways, but it's in everything. Like when you go to practice, you have to get your mind where it ain't just a practice where, we're just going to kind of go through the motions. You got to almost approach it like it is the game. Because if you can do that every single day, then what you do in practice is going to show up on game day. And we need to figure out why it didn't show up. And there could be a lot of reasons. First preseason game, guys are excited, guys are anxious, guys are nervous. But we got to flush that because that's not good enough. I mean, the haymakers that we saw in practice, and if any of you guys have been in practice and the way we were attacking the ball, it didn't show up last night. So we got to fix that, and it has to be better the next time we play in a preseason game.
There you go. That's Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator. When we come back, we'll look at the tape. Eric Baranczyk from the Green Bay Press Gazette makes his triumphant return to the program, so stay tuned. We got Eric coming up next. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Show right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome in. Phil Michaels Show. It was not the best of performances. If you would kind of put it on a scale of 1 to 10, you might label it down in those easy single digits. On Saturday night, as the Green Bay Packers took on the New York Jets. The Jets trying to lay a culture down, a new culture, new head coach. As Mike Clemens told us earlier, he kind of blew out the Hall of Fame quarterback, saying, "Nah, talk to you later." But in the meantime, you got a lot of the same old in Green Bay, and they're trying to kind of expand their culture. And in addition to that, get better and win. And really, not a whole lot looked good on Saturday night. Joining us now on the hotline from the Green Bay Press Gazette, the triumphant return of Eric Baranczyk. Eric, how you doing, pal?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'll tell you what did look good, though, is I just got done wolfing down a little quick trip sandwiches here and washed it down with the core power. So that looked good. Not good on Saturday night, though.
Well, let's start with some of the penalties. I mean, we've seen this. Matt LaFleur was on it last year. He talked about, a lot of the mentality, the physicality, getting beat, point of attack. I mean, it's just I don't even know how to look at this and say, were you not prepared? Did you not know the snap count? Could you not basically hold the man across from you accountable? I mean, it was just ugly.
Well, it's a tale of two cities, and you mentioned it on the lead-in here, right? Aaron Glenn is they came in there hell-bent for election, and those guys, and you heard it immediately after the game. We're sitting up there pressed up against the window, and you're looking at this, and there was like two snaps, and I looked over at Pete, and I said, this means absolutely nothing to these people. They don't, and then you heard it in the presser, Jordan Love comes out and says, we get most of our looks in the joint practices. So that's all you needed to see. That's all you needed to hear. I mean, he said it right there. Mm-hmm. They're looking forward to the joint practice on Thursday, and the following Thursday, the other joint practices that they're going to have. So listen, but I will say this, as that is the case, here's the part that sticks in my teeth a little bit is, back when they were winning championships, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, blah, blah, blah,
the number one unit came out, went to business, go down the field, score a touchdown, take your helmets off, put your hats on, and it was done. That's the part. And the defense will do the same thing. 3 and out, they go sit down. I realize that's kind of the Bronze Age or even the Stone Age from where we are today in modern football. But you know what? That's the kind of execution that we all were kind of expecting to see with the first team that wasn't there. And not only was that, but the effort wasn't there. You saw the way they pursued the football on defense. They just some of the vets just kind of jogged and laughed it off.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what it is. I mean, to them, that game meant absolutely zero. They were playing for their per diem, and that's all that they were there to do.
When you talk about guys in the pursuit of the football, there was numerous times where I kind of sped through the tape, so to speak, if you want to still call it tape. And I'm watching guys that are probably on bubbles trying to make the team. And they're jogging, man. Some of these guys are jogging, and it's like there's not. I mean, if you're talking about cutback lanes and all that kind of stuff, and if a guy makes a juke and comes back towards you, these guys weren't even in position. They were jogging down the field.
Well, yeah, one of my favorite guys I like to talk about is Gary, and you saw him on that touchdown run by Fields.
Yeah,
he just kind of okay, and you saw that. Now on Sundays that isn't there. On Sundays that isn't there, and so do I get hung up on that? You know what? The guy making $multi-million every Tuesday, he's getting a fat check for $300,000-400,000, and now I'm going to get a per diem check. Am I really going to go out there and risk injury?
Right.
Maybe not. But you know what? Here's the part that bothers me. Pride. Where's the pride?
Right.
That's the part, and maybe I'm just a old washed up fuddy-duddy that thinks that still matters. And the only thing that matters is money. But, that's me. But the reality is when I watched that game, I watched it 3 times now. There's some good stuff. Everyone wants to talk about, and I fully understand it. First of all, hey, wide receivers, put the ping pong paddles down. It's time to use your hands. But there was, if you looked at Belton,
yes.
That draft pick there, I was a little bit, concerned about. Thought maybe he's just a pass blocker. He's got a lot to learn, and I'm not putting a crown on his hat right now. He's not Joe Thomas or Anthony Munoz yet. But I'll tell you one thing: that man can run block, and I saw him put 4 guys on their back. And that big touchdown run that Johnson had,
yeah,
he should. Hopefully, he went over into the locker room and shook Mr. Belton's hand, because he put a linebacker on his butt, and that was the block that opened up that run. You see a big, strong guy that can get it done up front. He's got a lot to learn. He gave up a sack. Everybody wants to give it to poor Monk, but he completely missed a tackle end stunt, and that guy went around and got a sack, and everyone was praising this poor guy. It was like, and be
was my next question. I don't think he comes into this like on fire, but I certainly think that there's a level of pressure there at this point to take this team to the next level. You know what I mean? Always great to talk to you, my friend. Great to have you back this season. We'll start touching base on a weekly basis, and really looking forward to another year of NFL football, man. Yeah. Yeah, the Brewers are an exciting product right now. Absolutely. Plus, it's regular season versus preseason. Right? Yeah. I do too. I'm not kind of coming off of that as of right now. Great stuff as always, Eric. Appreciate it, pal. You the man. There you go, Eric Baranczyk of the Green Bay Press Gazette, joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. And that's what I mean when I say don't overreact because it's one preseason game. And I started getting emails saying, I told you LaFleur is this, and I told you he's a weak coach. And it's a one preseason game. Now you wait and see the progress. Now you wait, and as Jordan Love alluded to, now they're waiting for some of those joint practices to get some of their works and their reps in, and they're going to have it again next week as well. And so let's wait and see how the season plays out, because they could have a horrific. I mean, look, nobody's throwing Dan Campbell to the Wolves, and Dan Campbell's team just got 8 up in their first preseason game. I mean, they got just flat out whooped, right? It ain't happening. So just hang in there. Hang in there. Not going to be an overreaction Monday over a bad preseason football game. Let's just put it that way. Eric joined us on the Schneider Orange Hotline. Schneider hiring drivers right now. Call them 844-PRIDE or go to schneiderjobs.com. That is 844-PRIDE or go to schneiderjobs.com. Emails, text messages, you all coming up next to the Bill Michaels Show.
The Wisconsin Sports Zone update. Well, the Brewers still rolling as they prep for a visit to the Pirates tonight at American Family Field. Milwaukee's won 9 straight, sit 6 games up on the Cubs for first place in the NL Central, 5 games clear of any other team in baseball. They've done it in a variety of ways, including coming back from a 5-0 deficit yesterday at the Mets. Isaac Collins finished off with a walk-off home run.
Special for sure. I've been on a few teams where we go on runs like this, and it's hard to really describe. It's just like magic in the air almost, but that's how baseball is. It's just fun. We're having a lot of fun. That's the best way I can describe it.
Milwaukee did that with more than 33,000 fans in the stands, despite flooding throughout the city from a major storm. Manager Pat Murphy applauded fans coming out and said a lot of it had to do with the team they get to watch.
Just a team win, just a team thing. I think if you don't love what's going on in there and you're part of this thing, then you need to check yourself, because this has been a lot of fun, the way these guys compete, the way they pull for each other.
And the crew will be back in action tonight. Pirates in town. Milwaukee will send Jose Quintana to the mound. He's 9-4 with a 3.54 ERA. Pittsburgh countered Andrew Heaney. He's 5-9 with a 4.77 ERA. First pitch is set for 6:40.
Rural Mutual is the #1 farm insurer in Wisconsin for a good reason. As a company founded by farmers, they understand the ag industry and its challenges. Local agents offer farm families the best advice and personalized coverage. Visit ruralmutual.com to find an agent near you.
Keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Packers return to the practice field today as they look to regroup after a blowout loss to the Jets in their preseason opener. Coach Matt LaFleur said there were breakdowns in all three phases of the game in that one after to be at Indianapolis this Saturday. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome in. Final hour on a Monday, the Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. We are glad you are with us. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, feel free to go ahead and do so. You can also track us down in many other facets. You can find us via text message 608-321-1670, 608-321. You can also find us via YouTube. Go to youtube.com. That's youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can also track us down on the Twitter app on X if you want to, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels, or you can find Ebo at Ebo Says, at Ebo Says. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, the Bill Michaels Show, the Twitch app, the Kick app, the LinkedIn app as well. Email the program, the Bill Michaels at gmail.com. The website, simply thebillmichaels.com. The app, WOZN, the Zone Madison, the mighty Zone Madison out of Madison, Wisconsin, our flagship station, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts as well. And then we are a television show Saturday nights, 8 o'clock Central Time, My24 TV in Milwaukee. There you go. My24 TV in Milwaukee. I got to get to some of the text messages because there's been a lot of them. Which I wanted to get. There's been a ton of text messages today, and I'm trying to figure out where they start. This one's from the 920, says, from Stevie, says, I'm loving the summer of fun. Go Crew. Ryan in Manitowoc says, Bill, I get in preseason that you can't get specific looks at what they are doing, but that defense went from vanilla village to cream puff city. They looked horrible. I was watching the second half on TV and heard the dreaded statement that they're going to be the youngest team for the third year in a row. If I hear that again, you will hear the most blood-curdling scream coming from Manitowoc. They have playoff experience, won and lost in different scenarios. Now it's put up or shut up time. You either get the job done or you are gone. Ryan, if anybody calls and starts this whole crap about the youngest team in football again, I'll agree with you. You can't do that with third-year guys. You just can't. It's because they don't have a lot of these, third and fourth contract guys on the squad. They purposefully trim the tree, but that whole thing, that's out the window. That's out the window. Don't use it anymore. I don't want to hear it. It's basically a built-in excuse for failure. So I don't want to hear it anymore. Out of the 920, Bill, what a day for the Brewers. As to be a Brewers fan, only three things. First, can the Brewers get to 100 wins with the way they are playing? And I can see it. Second, does Murph take a second manager of the year this year, overtaking the Cubs, I would assume is what he's saying, and have the best record in the majors? And third, the angel in the booth is spitting fire right now, and the electricity is in the air. There you go. Adam from Edgar. Bill, I hope you're writing down names to call out the people on their BS about the Brewers like you did last year when people kept chirping how they can win, how they can't keep winning like this. Adam, you know what's funny is nobody has stepped up. And I have not gone back today and answered everybody, but last night I was just going through Facebook and going through Instagram and TikTok, and I was talking to people and saying, let's take that bet. I'll take that bet. And nobody was betting. Everybody wants to chirp, but nobody was betting. Nobody wants to put their money. I'll put my money where my mouth is. They won the division, but nobody's doing it. Nobody's going to put that down right now because they see it. They see the ones that are chirping are either Brewers fans that don't believe it or Cubs fans. There we go.
Bill Michaels rules in 30 seconds.
Check. Well, we're back. We're back. Great to have you. The Bill Michaels Show back on. So I'll give you a little bit of, and I wish I could go take a video of it. I can't get down the street quick enough. When the storms hit the other night, I sit on a little bit of a hill. Down at the bottom of the street, the gullies filled up and overflowed, houses and the whole thing. So they are down there today digging out these gullies, and a pole, I guess, because I can see wires down, is down. And I guess they're putting that back together. But the problem is every time they disconnect us for that split second, it kicks all the equipment off. So it takes a minute to put everything back on. And where the internet and everything runs into the house is actually downstairs. So you have to go downstairs and you have to pop that circuit breaker and then pop us back on. So that's what it is. So my apologies, but there you go. That's the that's what happened. So
Bill, we got these jabronis on your stream, which is so funny. They're like, well, someone need to figure out, like, well, it's all from Bill's home.
Yeah.
And if you want to be able to, how about you do an unpaid internship and you could be Bill's power guy or something?
Here's the thing is what they don't understand.
I would never push the wrong button.
There is 2 lines of internet coming in to the house, and there's a generator. The generator kicks in and we got power instantaneously. But once it knocks the internet out and the amps out, you got to go reset everything. So we're back on the air. I mean, everything has
we're on the radio.
Everything has worked the way it's supposed to work. It just knocks you off the air for a couple of minutes. I think it's about 2 to 3 minutes tops. So normally, like right now, my house doesn't have power. My house is running on the generator. So everything is working. It didn't knock me off the air for the rest of the day. It just, it's working. It just, when you got that quick switch over, it knocks all your amps and everything down, and then you got to reset everything, and that's all it is. So that's the way it goes. But yeah, they're down the street, and
they could fire up a radio too, Bill. If the stream goes down, we're still on the radio. So I still got it. You still got to do.
Yeah.
Like I was talking about the flooding in Milwaukee and how the Jets broadcast team. Did you hear they have to abandon their car when they go to the airport yesterday?
Really?
Did you hear this?
I didn't hear that.
Do you want to hear a little clip about it?
Sure, go ahead.
Listen, this was on the broadcast yesterday.
Foul. For what we've seen in Milwaukee, Keith, with the flooding, yes, still a really good crowd here this afternoon. It was not easy to get to this ballpark.
It was not. We were on the bus together, the last bus this morning, and it was already backed up.
I don't know if you heard this, Keith, but the Jets were in Green Bay, and our Jets crew, the SNY Jets crew, had early flights this morning out of Milwaukee. So they drove back last night from Green Bay, got caught a quarter mile from their hotel, had to abandon their car and swim to the hotel. Wow. There's a ground ball to Andrew.
There you go. So, and I believe it. I saw video of downtown by Potawatomi, and that road on both sides of Potawatomi was underwater. There, it was about 6 feet of water, at least maybe 5, because I saw the roofs of cars, but not the cars. So, I mean, it was a lot of water. They got hit worse than we did. Like I said, I live a little bit, if you want to talk from where I'm at, 15 feet higher than the gully, but the water was up near my yard. That's how high it was. So if you wanted to drive to the bottom of my street and go up this other side of the hill, you wouldn't have made it. Your car would have been completely submerged the other night. So
I love the people too that have the cojones to try and think they could get through.
Right.
Like, I can do it.
Yeah,
I can do it.
Exactly. So anyway, let's do this. Rich Bisaccia, the special teams coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, talked a little bit about his crew and about his assistant head coaching duties and such. But here's Rich Bisaccia.
How much communication had you had with McNamee before he got here? And I know it was just 3 kickoffs, but what do you think of his first American football game?
Yeah, again, the longer you stay around, you come up with a first that you didn't ever have before. And he got off the plane. I'm not really sure what time it was, the night before, of the day of the game, and did a good job for us. We interviewed him at the combine. He had a pretty good combine. He was in the top 5 guys that we had rated, some of the international players that had been over there in the Pathway program. And the communication back and forth has mostly been with Byron and been with Russ. Russ did a good job of getting him here for us. We had him here earlier. I'm sure you've heard he had to go back, get the visa stuff taken care of, that he had a job, and then come back. So really, for just getting off the plane and going out there and trying to kick it left and right, I thought he did a good job for us. He's got a good leg. He's a mature guy. He held the ambiance pretty good. So we'll see what the future brings. But field goal wise, we'll hopefully get him going here a little bit. He has to learn when to start and what the takeoff looks like. But it was good to have him out there. Plus, it kicks off of our guy. So that was the big thing.
Richard, Brandon's been remarkably accurate so far in camp. You said that one day where he missed a couple, but what's been the key, do you think, to his just the groove that he's in? How do you just sustain that for the whole year?
Well, it's obviously a credit to him, and who he is. It's been sustained over a long period of time. He has a pure stroke, as you will, and he knows what it is. So when it's a bad hit, he knows it before anybody else. When it's a good hit, he also, he makes noises and all that. He knows it as well. So, but I give a lot of credit, and we've talked about that in here before, to the battery and the way in which those guys have a certain respect for each other and the way in which they're willing to work diligently at that particular task day in and day out. But, he just has a pure stroke. He's in a really good place at this point in his career. And I just think, again, hopefully he's got himself in such good physical condition at this age that this will be sustained for a long period of time. But I think it all starts with him.
What did you think of just what Israel gave you on the kickoff returns? And what did you just think of him as sort of a prospect there with his approach?
Well, we thought he hit it, and this scheme has become so different now over the last couple of years, and it happens so much faster. He did a good job of getting his balance right on the catch and then understanding what we're trying to do. And, he hasn't been here that long, so he's been playing other teams for us as well in practice, and we'll see if we can up his reps when the next game comes. But we thought he did a good job of hitting it up in there, and he had that one big return and made a guy miss on the same deal. So we're excited for the direction he's going in.
What do you make out of Hartman's night? I mean, he's got a really good track record.
Yeah.
Historically, he's been really good. And obviously, last night.
The disappointing thing was the place that he was inside the 10 in practice. He's done a really good job with it. He's helped our young guys about making a fake away from the catch or being in position to block, or letting it go into the end zone. So I'm hoping he was just trying to make too big of a play too early. But really, the best decision would have been just make the play that's there, make the fair catch on one or let it go and stay away from the one on the ground. So I'm expecting him to respond the right way and come back and have a good week.
Was he a little deep on the one that bounced
and he ended up.
I think he got himself flown a little bit, but I think the punt right before that, the guy hit a pretty good zinger over there out towards the boundary. So he was in the right place. I think he started drifting a little bit, and the ball kind of died on him a little. The point went up, and the ball kind of died. So I think he wished he would have left it alone, and played the next play. But that's what happened. So just put our team in a bad position on both of those. Really gave up 7 points on both of those plays.
What do you advise on that? Because there still was quite a bit of room between, there wasn't a defender near him with the ball.
I think if you get a Sunday hop, you're going to play ball. He was in good position if he got the Sunday hop, but once he got that little bit of a funky bounce, you just got to do the best to get away from the ball. He got squared up on it. But to your point earlier, I think we wish he'd caught it in the air.
Is that just a guy who's trying to make the team, trying to make a play, though, you think?
Yeah, like I said earlier, he knows he's in a battle. He's been practicing really well. He's come back in good physical condition. He's made good plays in practice for us. And, he's got some skins on the wall in this league. He's made some big plays, and we're hoping he can do the same thing. We'll see how he responds this week. I think we're all expecting him to come back with a great grit and great fight to him and have a heck of a week.
In a perfect world, would you like to have somebody just focus on that return role? So I know Keyshawn is all pro and all that, but because of their importance on offensive defense, would you like to have someone?
I don't really know if I can live in a perfect world, but I'd say in my experience, usually you got to have players make the team and then find roles for them to play in the kicking game. Everybody talks about special teams. Your way of making the team is on special teams. The only chance you have to make team is on special teams. They have to be pretty good at their position as well in order to make the 53 and then to be on the 48 to dress and help us everywhere. So I've never really had a guy that just does that and does nothing else. So I think all guys have to be pretty good at the position they're playing to help us in all three phases when the game shows up.
Rich, what did you think of Daniel's night, and what do you think of his camp?
Well, that's kind of a twofold question. One, I think he's had a really good camp. Two, I just want Daniel to understand that we have really high expectations for his improvement in this particular season. So I think there's a lot that we could have done a little bit better, and then there was some really good, punts as well. So I'll leave it at that.
He's had a big leg ever since he's gotten here. What do you think he's capable of, especially when you talk about that improvement this season?
Well, I think he's capable of being a really good player. I think his understanding of where we are on the field, I said it in here before, where are we in the field? What's the situation in the game? How's the returner playing you? What's your line? Will you stay true to your line? What's the win? There's so many things going on, that he has to become more aware of as the game is going on. Is he doubled on one side, singled on the other? Is it double on both sides? Is it a six-man front? It's on and on and on. And then adjusting to a snap that might be just a little bit to his right or a little bit at his knee or a little bit at his number. And again, a lot of things that go on, but the expectation for him is the standard, and he has set the standard now. So he has to play above that at all times, and I think that's what we're going to expect from him.
Rich, what do you think of what Christian gave you? And what do you think allows him? He's obviously been doing it at such a high level with special teams for years. What is it about him or his skill set that's allowed him to have?
Yeah, 3 tackles in the game. In our time with him, he just has a knack in space of finding the ball. And I think he would have had 4 tackles, except the holding penalty was really against the guy that tackled him to the ground at the line of scrimmage. So I think it's a compliment to him and his ability to find the ball in space, know when to settle, know when to shoot, and make the tackle. So he also did a good job on protection, did a good job on kickoff return. So hopefully he can just keep playing well.
What can Simmons give you? I know you had a gunner at least a couple of times.
Who's that?
Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, we played him 2 plays out there at Flyer, and I thought he did a really good job on the first one. On the second one, he could have stayed a little bit tighter in there, but we're asking him to do some things he hasn't done before in the kicking game to try to use his abilities to help all of us, and he's on the come, but we played him a little bit on kickoff as well, and a couple, I think, 2 punt returns. So hopefully we'll up his reps in the kicking game as we get going. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
There you go. That's Rich Bisaccia, and just kind of breaking a few things down and talking about some of the guys that did pretty well. I mean, the special teams for Rich, come on. McManus has been perfect, so you really haven't had much of a worry there at all. And when it comes to the return game, they're just trying out different people. So, and all of a sudden, if you find a return game, something that the Packers haven't seen successfully in a while, then you really, to be honest, you have nowhere to go but up. And Whelan's been punting really well all throughout camp. So everything seems to, at least for the time being, be good in that particular area. So special teams, not perfect, but from Rich's point of view, a lot better than defense and offense. I'll tell you that right now, without a doubt. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Now, I want to go back to where we were when all of a sudden, the next thing you know, the power went out. This was, we were talking about some of the text messages we got. Going back to the 608 saying, how good is it to have the retractable roof at AmFam? With the rain and the flooding, would that game yesterday have even been played if not for the roof? What condition would the field have been in if not for having the roof? Kudos to the Brewers for investing in that. Go Brewers, 45 games until the postseason. And Rock and Rick says, hey, don't forget when it comes to the Brewers and some of the guys that they have found, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and it certainly has turned out that way. So there you go. I want to go back to the roof because there were some people criticizing the leakage, we'll say, at American Family Field. It was a deluge. And it was never, ever to say when they built American Family Field that it was waterproof. It's 99% you're not going to get rain in there. It was coming down so much and so heavy. There were areas that had drips, and in the center field area, they had leaks, no doubt. But no, they still played those games. They threw down a little, sand dry, and that was the extent of it. Those games were played, and you never had to worry about it. So that was the best part. And we've seen this before where you get a really strong wind. There's flaps. There's big, heavy, like rubber flaps on each one of those fan pieces on the roof. And if the wind gets under them and it kicks them out a little bit, you get a little bit of leakage. It's just what it is. And it's what we expect. There's never, ever been anything stated that said that was 100% leak proof. So, it goes all the way back to the very beginning. Now, it doesn't leak the way it did because they fixed a lot of those things along the way. But it does every now and then. If you get a heavy enough rain mixed with a heavy enough wind, you get leaks here and there. So for those who were criticizing it, it's like they never delayed the game. They never had to stop the game, and they got the game in both days. So everything that AmFam Field is supposed to do, it did successfully. And, oh, by the way, they didn't have mass flooding underneath it, which, because if you've ever been to the backside of that thing where the ramp goes down, like where the trucks make big deliveries on both sides, both the right field and the left field lines, that area did not get flooded. It wasn't like they had water running in to where the field was going to be underwater or the clubhouse was underwater or the batting cages were underwater. They didn't have that. They had really good drainage there. Everything worked the way it was supposed to. So it was all good. It was all good. Chris and Chippewa says, I don't care that the Packers lost. They just look like hot garbage doing it. They definitely didn't pass any kind of eye test in that one. Ryan in Manitowoc says, did you see the highlight of the kicker for the Jaguars? Hit a 70-yarder. It looked like he hit that thing with some power. The football wasn't even near hitting the crossbar, which was true. It still made it by like another 7 to 10 yards. And no, it does not count as a record breaker. Now, we're all going to know in the back of our minds that a 70-yarder was kicked, but because it wasn't in the regular season, it does not make it a record breaker. It's like throwing a no-hitter in spring training. It doesn't really count. Just so you know. Hey, Bill, Mike said that they're still waiting Quay Walker calling on the defense. Do you think Cooper would be good for that, or is it still too soon to put him in that role? Well, if he's pressed into it, he would be the guy. If Quay Walker couldn't come back, he's expected to know all of that. Now, Quay Walker's obviously had a few more years of experience, which is the reason that he's going to be the green dot wearing guy. But eventually, Cooper, should Quay Walker go down or not return in any kind of a timely fashion, which we all know he's about to come back to practice anyway. But if he was pressed into it, yeah, he would have to be that play caller at some point. So, yes. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Got a lot more to get to. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. This portion of it brought to you by our friends at J&L Tire and Service Center. Voted the best tire dealer out there. And whether you're cruising around in a minivan or you've got an 18-wheeler big rig, they have the facilities to handle both. Right there on Boulder Road in Watertown, plus right above 94 at the Johnson Creek exit. You can see it from the highway. They are great people, philanthropic, do a ton in their community. Please, if you're looking for somebody to trust, That is JNL Tire and Service Center. Go to jnltire.com. That is jnltire.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah. I think this is this Starship? Jeff, this is the Starship?
Correct, Mundo.
I think it is. Yeah, there you go. Hey, our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue, even though the last day was shut down at the Wisconsin State Fair, they had a tremendous turnout at the Wisconsin Expo Center. And many of you all throughout the great state of Wisconsin walked in and said, you heard it here, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for walking in and telling Greg and Ben and the guys over there at Burn Pit Barbecue that you heard it on the program, which is freaking fantastic. But you've supported them, and they are one of the better small businesses, and I don't want to call them small because they continue to grow, but locally owned businesses right here in the state of Wisconsin, Racine, Wisconsin to be exact. BurnPitBBQ.com, whether it's the sauces, the rubs, the hot sauces, they've got something for everybody. Go to BurnPitBBQ.com. That is BurnPitBBQ.com. Good stuff from our friends Ben and Greg over there at Burn Pit Barbecue. What else do we got? I got some emails to get to, I guess. Let's see here. Michael says, I look at Murphy as being the missing piece. His brand and style seems to be embraced more than when Counsell was here, not taking anything away from Craig, but his voice was probably going on deaf ears his last year or so, while Murphy's moves have upset many a time, sticking with Ortiz, Collins, and Durbin being the biggest ones. Can't argue with the stance. Take yesterday, for example. It was the B lineup because guys need some time off, then get 5 down, chip away. Then he makes the right move at the right time. Siegler gets the pinch hit. Frelick in at right field. Terrain comes in for Monasterio, and Yelly's still on the bench for extra innings if need be. Maybe Counsell actually held the Brewers back a little bit, ? Quick take on the Packers. I know it's August, but the defense gave up 400 yards, and a first-year staff and the Jets look to have their team much more prepared than this experienced staff did in Green Bay. Dare we say LaFleur is holding back the Packers? Let's see what the rest of the preseason holds before we start saying that. Let's just see.
How hot do you think LaFleur's seat is? I mean, I hear it. I see it in the chat. I hear it all the time. Ed Policy coming in. 1-5 in the division last year. Yada yada yada. Like, is it though? Is it hot?
I think if you have a repeat of what they saw last year and kind of an ending in the same fashion, yeah, I think it's hot. I would think it's hot. If you can't beat the teams that are good, and you falter again in the postseason, and a lot of the same things that have plagued this team, such as, the penalties, the false start stuff, the concentration stuff, the physicality concentration stuff, yeah, then you start to question the methodology getting from point A to point B. Because then you say to yourself, okay, has Matt LaFleur taken this team as far as he can take them? And I think that's the reason Ed Policy didn't jump right into the pond of saying, here you go. Here's a contract extension. Because I think that's what they're looking for, is they're looking for that betterment. And they're also going to give him a complete year with, hopefully, knock on wood, a healthy Jordan Love. But the Jets, everybody over there on the Jets is playing for their job. Because you've got a new coach, you're trying to impress him. He's the guy that basically looked at Aaron Rodgers and said, get the hell out of here. We don't need you. So everybody's like, well, if he can do it to Rodgers, he can do it to me. So it was a different energy coming in. So we'll see. If the drops persist, the holding persists, false start penalties, post-play penalties, if the undisciplined stuff continues, yeah, then I can see that Matt LaFleur might be on a hot seat.
He kind of is. Remember when he tried to fight that fan in Detroit?
Yeah.
That was chirping at him? That's undisciplined from Matt LaFleur.
Right.
It's the systemic stem, trickle down kind of thing to his team.
And Mike Clemens had a good point when he said Matt LaFleur is trying very hard not to end up being a viral meme of some type. like a Dan Campbell or, like a Nick Sirianni and guys like that have made comments and then gets played, in infamy. We've seen the Denny Green will crown their asses in the playoffs so famously. So he's trying very hard in front of cameras not to have the angry meltdowns, but I don't think coming into the season it's hot, but I do think that there is a much more focused microscope on Matt.
Because I'm curious, Mark Murphy has a Super Bowl, obviously, and he has Titletown. That was his, his little last hurrah. Ed Policy, what is he going to do? Because he always got to be building and getting better and making more money because it's a business, right?
Right.
So what is Ed Policy? How is he going to make his mark? And then I look at Matt LaFleur, too. I think Matt LaFleur's got a fall guy. His name's Rich Bisaccia. Then I wonder, does Brian Gutekunst have a fall guy in Matt LaFleur? And then what does Ed Policy do with that? Because everyone needs a fall guy.
Right.
So if things go wrong, you got to be Rich Bisaccia. It's you. You're the associate head coach. And, we've let you slide these past couple of years of special teams. So, like what Goody would do and what does Ed Policy do,
Right. No doubt. And I said it depends on how you get to point A to point B. If this team wins 11 games, but yet the quarterback's down, you lose Josh Jacobs, Xavier McKinney's down, you lose quite a few of your main cogs, and yet you're still winning and find yourself in the postseason. It's not the way you wanted it to end, but you did more with less. But if you got a season in which you're healthy throughout, and you still end up basically same old, and you didn't really get much better. You maybe get one win better in the division. You find Detroit still winning it. You're still behind Minnesota. You're losing to the teams that you really are expected to be beating or at least competing much better with. Then I can see that would be a scenario in which they might say, you know what, you've gone as far as you can. We're going to go ahead and make a change. Even with it's the same thing with Luke Fickell this year. They need a signature win. If they end up with 6 and 7 wins, it'll be similar to what they had last year, but with a much tougher schedule and most likely with a signature win along the way. So it would be technically a better season, even though the record could end up being exactly the same. By the way, people talking about Bobby Buckwheat, I'll take that bet all day long. Bet me $100 that I'll take it right damn now. So if the Brewers win the division, because he says the Cubbies are going to win the division, there's no way. If the Brewers win the division, you got to put $100 towards Big Unit Foundation. I'll take that right now. If not, you tell me where to send $100. I'll be happy to do that. I'll take it. You're the only one with a set of cojones on you to step up and say you'd take the bet. So far, nobody else has. Even Cubs fans are like, oh, I can't believe you're saying that. Okay, you want to bet? Not really. That's it. That's it. So, okay, that's fine. Aaron says the frustrating thing about the Packers game on Saturday is what the issues were. Drop passes, penalties galore, looking sloppy in a vacuum. That would be no big deal, especially since it's just a preseason game. The big frustration is that those are the exact problems that plagued the team last year. So I do see that as a problem as we enter a new year. On a positive note, the Brewers are incredible. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this in my lifetime in Wisconsin sports, where you believe they are going to win every single game over this long period of time. It's funny. I was listening, and we had Tim Allen on a little bit earlier, but I was listening to that game as I was out, running around yesterday. And both during the game and then after the game, I was listening to Tim. And during the game, when the Brewers were down, was it 5-0? I kept thinking, get it back to 5-2 or 5-3 by like the 5th or 6th inning, and they'll win this game. And they kept chipping away. And when they got down by a run, you felt it. And Tim was exactly right. And Lane Grindle was exactly right. You could hear the, oh, here we go again on both sides in both dugouts. Oh, here we go again from the Brewers going, yeah, we got back. We're back in this thing. We're going to win it. Let's just tie it up. It's a new game and we'll win this thing. You could just see that. On the other side, you could see the Mets going, crap, here we go again. And the Mets have a good bullpen. It's not like the Mets are a craptastic team. They got a good bullpen. And when the Brewers were getting to their arms, you could just see it. You could see the body language like, oh, we just can't get these guys out. We just can't get these guys out. And so you could just feel it. I agree with you. I just don't feel like right now, if you get past the 7th and you're down 5 runs to the Brewers, I think there's an inkling in me that would say, it's going to be tough to come back. But I'd still have a little bit of hope. But if you're down 5-0 and you're the Brewers early and it's second inning, third inning, I think they look at it as a lot of ball left. We can win this thing. A lot of ball left. No problems. Just don't give any more runs up and we're going to be good to go. Because even yesterday, when the Brewers came back, and what did they get it? I think they got it 5-3. And then the next inning, the Mets plated a run and got it to 6-3. I'm like, oh, that's that body blow that the Brewers probably take and don't normally win those games. But it never fazed me. When they got the extra run and it was 6-3, I'm like, no, the Brewers can still win this game. I was still pretty confident. And then you just kind of listened and it just kept chirping back and chirping back and chirping back. And next thing you know, they walk away with a win. It was just, what an incredible day. And there's just a lot of belief out there right now in this Brewers team, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. By the way, we had mentioned Landon Dickerson a little bit earlier, the Eagles Pro Bowl guard. He has suffered a meniscus tear to his right knee. They were waiting to find out if it was an ACL or what it was. They're not quite sure how long he's going to be sidelined, but if it's a meniscus tear to where he has to have surgery, then it's at least 4 to 6 weeks before he would come back. And he is one of the anchors of that offensive line, but more so than anything, he's one of the anchors of the tush push. So they're down to their third guard now. Their third guard on that team. But Landon Dickerson suffered a meniscus, and they believe it's a meniscus tear is what we're getting now. So there you go. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. We got another segment of the program yet to go. Don't go anywhere. Whole lot more happening. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends out there at Smoke on the Water. They got the Bourbon Club now. The Bourbon Bar is open up outside. They've got a bourbon bar. They've got a bourbon club. And they're going to have a bourbon cigar dinner coming up. And if you're interested in it, check out Smoke on the Water Okauchee. Smoke on the Water Okauchee. Out there in Okauchee Lake in the Lake Country area. They are also the first stop on our motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, August 31st. But that is Smoke on the Water in Okauchee Lake right there on Wisconsin Avenue. They have a lot going on. Joe and Ellen Hennis, they spent some time with us out there in Sturgis as well. We had a great time with them. Had a lot of fun out promoting the motorcycle ride and such. But if you are looking for the Bourbon Club, the Bourbon Cigar Dinner, or if you're just looking to ride with us and be there on that first stop on August 31st, Sunday, August 31st, man, Smoke on the Water is a place to be on Okauchee Lake. They also have Sloppy Joe's Saloon and Spoon on Hubertus. But Smoke on the Water, man, they're cranking out there on Okauchee Lake. Stay tuned. We wrap things up. Coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Old school, baby. Old school. Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. As we get ready to wrap things up, day one, getting back. Always good. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Marquardt RV. Oh, my goodness. The Thor Motor Coach was just absolutely fantastic. It drove unbelievably. It performed unbelievably. We lived in it for 8 days, and it has been great. And so we say thanks to Marquardt. We still have, what is it? I think we have 3 charity events out of it yet upcoming that we have raised over $10,000 for a Big Unit Foundation with. So not only did they help us out, but their service is fantastic, and they've helped us raise a lot of money for veterans causes and first responders causes along the way. So thanks to our friends at Marquardt RV, whether it's a Thor Motor Coach, a Jayco, a Cruiser RV, Heartland, I can go on and on. They've got everything, but they pride themselves in their service. Anybody can sell you anything, but it's how they take care of you before, during, and after the sale. That's what sets Marquardt apart. Go to Marquardt, MARKQUART, MarquardtRV.com. That is MarquardtRV.com. Today was a little weird. I have to admit that. But tomorrow, I don't know what we have yet. I know we're going to have Chuck Freeman, who's going to be joining us. So he'll check in with us. Chucker's going to be here to talk a little Brewers baseball. And beyond that, we'll have to wait and see. We'll probably get Mike Clemens from up in Green Bay, Packers back in the practice field, getting themselves ready for another upcoming preseason game, which, while they're meaningless, they clearly mean a lot to a lot of people. We'll talk more Brewers baseball tomorrow as the Brewers try to continue the win streak as the floodwaters continue to recede down and around the area of American Family Field. Going back to that a little while ago, there was only, I think, a couple of ways into American Family Field yesterday. I think it was off Blue Mound Road, off 94 and such. But I think the backside, like where what they called Miller Park Way, which is now Brewers Way, I think that was still all flooded out. I think that whole area was still screwed up coming out of West Allis. So for everybody that went to the game yesterday, 33,000 plus, they announced the sellout, which it really was, but there was a bunch of people that just decided, I'm going to stay away from that flooded area, or they've got lives of their own that they had to take care of the flooding in their own homes. But yeah, there was quite a bit of flooding in that area yesterday. So I would assume those waters have somewhat receded. We had some storms again last night, and there's a few maybe that are possibly expected tomorrow. But at least today, you get bouts of sun and clouds, and the water gets to recede just a little bit. So now we'll see what happens. But tonight, hopefully another big crowd down at American Family Field, and the win streak continues, and we talk about that coming up tomorrow. Ebo, you're doing the double duty, man. You've so Austin tomorrow. Austin tomorrow.
Yes, Austin tomorrow, Wednesday, then Kate on Thursday. Then I think I'll be back on Friday. Okay. And I like Ed's asking for music requests. I love peppering the music in, if you don't mind, Bill, throughout the show. But we got to end on Sandman. That's how you end the show. That's how you end the show.
I don't mind that at all.
Enter Sandman.
Always good stuff. What else do we have?
Austin's is going to the Brewer game tomorrow too. I think Skeens pitches for the Pirates.
Yeah. The last time Skeens took on the Brewers, he lost at American Family Field.
Miz.
I was there, and he lost to the Miz. I was there for that game. I was.
Oh, and for there's the Miz shirt giveaway yesterday because I had some my listeners called in so that they took like a Badger bus or whatever, and because of the flooding, they're like an hour late, and I think the Brewers said if you wanted a Miz shirt and you missed out because of the flooding, I think they're doing another one coming up. So if people want that,
so correct me if I'm wrong. Was Saturday night the Euchre umbrella night?
I have to look. I don't know. I just know Pocket Pancakes were yesterday in the Miz shirt. Let's see. I'll Google it quick.
So, okay, there you go. That's it. So that's pretty much going to do it for today. Like I said, tomorrow coming up on the program, we're going to talk with Chuck Freeman. He's got to be out of his mind too. Hopefully the win streak continues and they reach again at 10 beginning tomorrow as we start to creep ever closer to maybe some of those free George Webb burgers, which would be
the Euchre giveaway is the 23rd.
The 23rd.
So
okay.
You can, the golf umbrella.
I knew it was coming up and I'm like, boy, the irony. Had that happened, Euchre umbrella night on a night in which the heavens opened up and just dumped on everybody. But
tomorrow is the King, or what is that? In Wisconsin art shirt, and then on next Tuesday is the King Vaughn, the Andrew Vaughn.
King Vaughn, and he's been good since they picked him up. That's for damn sure.
The comb over crusher, dude. He looks like Roy Munson's child.
He does look like he'd be standing in the corner with, Pabst Blue Ribbon in his hand, wearing jeans that are way too tight and a tucked-in T-shirt, that kind of thing. But hey,
he's the third bowler with the Roy Munson and Bill Murray.
Yes, exactly. That's it. That's going to do it. Time for us to get out of here until we talk again 20 hours.